Chapter 2038. The astral river grew longer and longer. The gigantic body of the God King of the Western Paradise sped through the astral river, wanting to step out of it. His steps were extremely large, and every step he took felt like he wanted to cross an entire sky. However, he still couldn't step out of the astral river. The space-time there seemed to be chaotic. Even if he couldn't seal the God King of the Western Paradise, he wanted to trap him for eternity. How can you create a piece of the heavens? The God King of the Western Paradise roared in rage. He lifted his hand, wanting to destroy the constellations in the astral river. However, Qin Wentian remained unmoved. His expression was resolute and cold. Yu Huang sacrificed her life for her Tao, allowing him to achieve his goal. This was all for the sake of that trace of hope. He definitely wouldn't disappoint Yu Huang. When he stared at the 9 heavenly layers, it was like he could see Yu Huang's face. The heavenly Daos are emotionless. He wanted to change the heavens. Back then, God King Shi once wanted to control the heavens, using his will to envelop the 9 heavenly layers, using his body to create the heaven vault. What sort of power was this? He was imitating God King Shi, but the path he walked was different. Yu Huang transformed into the Tao, using her soul to transform into the 9 heavenly layers. He was also imitating Yu Huang, walking the path of Yu Huang. In addition, he fused the advantages of the two of them, comprehending the 9 heavenly layers before using the Stargate in his sea of consciousness to form a world of stars, creating a piece of the heavens. This was extremely dangerous. If he was the slightest bit careless, he would die. His soul would scatter. By doing this, if he failed, he would only die. Luckily, he succeeded and created a world of the 9 heavenly layers. This was a true world of the heavenly Daos. His will was the heavenly Daos. Naturally, this was the heavenly Daos of the world he created. It wasn't the true heavenly Daos of the 9 heavenly layers. Hence, he didn't manage to transcend. It was too difficult to do so. The God King of the Western Paradise didn't even manage to fuse with the bodies of 5 God Kings. Even if he gained enlightenment, he wouldn't be able to ascend to the heavens in a single step, directly transcending everything. If he truly transcended the 9 heavenly layers, he would be able to undo the shackles the God King of the Western Paradise had on the lives of the supreme ancient immortal realms with just a single thought. But even if he didn't transcend, being able to create the 9 heavenly layers was still an unprecedented feat. The heavenly Daos are heartless. I shall change the heavens. Such boldness was unparalleled in the supreme ancient immortal realms. He created the astral river of time and space, wanting to suppress the God King of the Western Paradise eternally, making it so that he wouldn't be able to harm the common people. However, what sort of character was the God King of the Western Paradise? He had cultivated for countless years and had fused with the bodies of 5 God Kings. After that, he also controlled the imperishable Heaven Lord and the Grim Reaper force. He was in existence on the same level as the 7 God Kings. Even if he was trapped in the river of time, how could he be defeated so easily? The boundlessly chaotic spacetime was unable to destroy his will to fight. For this battle, he came here for the sake of transcendence. He stepped out, unceasingly shattering the constellations around him, causing them to explode one after another. He wanted to destroy this world created by Qin Wentian. Even if it might take a long time, he didn't care. Moreover, he had other means. It all depended on whether Qin Wentian could bear it. Inclining his head, the God King of the Western Paradise could no longer see Qin Wentian's figure. Qin Wentian was trapped in the chaotic spacetime. But so what of it? His power was connected to the 9 heavenly layers. As long as he willed it, he would be able to affect the 9 heavenly layers. You say I'm an evil devil. But aren't you the same as well? You killed countless lives, and how many people died because of you? Also, countless lives will be destroyed because of you. Right now, I'm going to let you see the calamity you have created. As the voice of the God King of the Western Paradise faded, boundless astral light cascaded down from the 9 heavenly layers, enveloping the astral river. Within the astral river, many scenes appeared. Qin Wentian was in one of these scenes. Qin Wentian turned his gaze over. On a street, a young woman was kneeling on the ground and sobbing. Beside her, there was a wedding procession. She stared at the ice-cold corpse on the ground as she cried her heart out. Not long ago, the man she loved was suddenly enveloped by the light of fate. It was like he was being controlled by someone. Not long after, an all-annihilating might bore down on the man she loved, directly killing him, leaving her alone. In another scene in a residence, the sounds of sobbing were extremely loud. Two ice-cold corpses laid on the ground. They were a young couple with a child, and an elderly beside them. They were all sobbing bitterly, not daring to believe that such a calamity would suddenly befall their family. The old woman was even roaring in anger at the heavens. Why must the heavens do this to her descendants? If there was karma in the world, why didn't it land on her, an old woman? In fact, there were even young children who were killed by the sudden calamity. Their parents were cursing the heavens. Why was the heavens so cruel, not even sparing the children who had just started cultivating? Scenes of joy and sorrow played out everywhere in the supreme ancient immortal realms. In fact, there were many people who committed suicide because of the pain they felt. These people all died because of the battle between Qin Wentian and the God King of the Western Paradise. They were originally innocent, but fate dragged them into this battle together. Vile creature! Qin Wentian roared in rage. His eyes were red. These people were all innocent, but because of the Tao of fate of the God King of the Western Paradise, they were dragged into this battle. Ha ha ha, what about you? Do you know who killed them? The God King of the Western Paradise coldly spoke. After that, another scene appeared. That was the figure of Princess Kitamura. She stood there and smiled at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian was also looking at her. His heart was filled with incomparable pain as he called out, "Yu Huang?" Then who did she die because of? Another voice rang out. In the air, the boundless constellations, as well as the sorrowful wills of all lives in the world, all of them converged into a formless energy that gushed towards Qin Wentian. This energy was unfathomable and formless. Qin Wentian stared at Baiming Yuhuang's silhouette as tears flowed down his face. He felt as though his heart had died. That's right, who did Yuhuang die for? He stared at the fate of the people in the world. The families of those people were shattered. They were the same as him. They had people they treasured. But now how innocent were they? You said that you didn't kill me because you wanted to suppress me in the astral river of time and space forever. But can you do that? Also, the people in the world will still suffer a calamity because of you. Look. A voice rang out. The God King of the Western Paradise clenched his fist. It was like he was grabbing the lives of countless people and directly crushing them. In the next instant, it was unknown how many people died. The scenes of their deaths all appeared before Qin Wentian's eyes. Numerous families were shattered, their people died. You say that I'm a devil and that all of this is because of me. But what about you? If I can attain the Tao, the supreme ancient immortal realms would be united and the people in the world would submit to me. The faith of the people in the world would be my strength, and I would definitely treat them kindly. How would I kill them? Now, it's merely because of your selfishness that you caused the people in the world to suffer a calamity. This calamity is caused by your selfishness. You aren't afraid of death. Everything you did was for the sake of the people around you. However, are you the only one with a family? You caused the deaths of countless families. How would they feel when they lost their loved ones? Numerous voices resembled the voice of the heavenly Daos, entering Qin Wentian's body together with sorrow, imprinting themselves in the 9 heavenly layers. Not only for Qin Wentian, even Jun Mingchen and Qin Yuanfeng were greatly affected. They stared at the calamity and involuntarily shed tears. Was their resistance wrong? Was it them who caused the people in the world to suffer a calamity? Continue to trap me. Every time I destroy a constellation, I will kill the person whose fate is connected to the constellation. Let me see your benevolence, your kindness. As the voice rang out, countless people died. The fates of these people transformed into projections that appeared in the starry space, appearing before Qin Wentian. He saw a brother and sister pair who depended on each other in life and death. The elder brother was killed and the younger sister carried his corpse, wanting to beg immortals to save her elder brother. That scene caused tears to flow down his face. He thought of his younger sister Qin Kursen, of Luo Shenlei, and of Bai Qing. If he was killed, they would be like this as well. He saw countless scenes of calamity, as well as countless touching scenes. He closed his eyes in pain. The strongest heart devil in the world was when you clearly knew it was a heart devil, but you couldn't escape it. You had to endure it. Numerous voices rang out unceasingly in his mind, together with the calamity of the people. At this moment, in the air, the light of fate enveloped Qin Wentian. Numerous beams of tribulation light bore down on him, attacking him. Qin Wentian lifted his palms to destroy them, but he discovered that what he destroyed were actually the fates of many constellations. The scene of countless deaths flashed through his mind, each scene battering against his heart and soul. Why? Qin Wentian roared in rage. The heavenly Daos are emotionless. He changed the heavens, but wasn't that enough? Why did he have to endure such cruelty? He only wanted to kill the evil devils and protect his loved ones. Yet he was kidnapped by the fates of the people, and had no way to resist. He thought that if he could suppress the God King of the Western Paradise forever, he would be able to save the people of the world. But clearly he was wrong. Even if the God King of the Western Paradise wanted to annihilate the people of the world, he still wanted Qin Wentian to die. After a few more times, Qin Wentian's body started to tremble. Finally, another beam of fate light descended. Qin Wentian lifted his hand, wanting to destroy it, but he eventually placed it down, allowing the light to blast into his soul, causing his body to tremble. Beams of fate light continued to rain down. Qin Wentian's body grew more and more illusory. He still inclined his head and stared at the sky, feeling reluctance in his heart. But what could he do? Should he continue to slaughter the people? How could he bear to continue watching these scenes? The people of the supreme ancient immortal realms were all incomparably enraged when they saw the scenes in the starry space. The God King of the Western Paradise didn't mind activating the calamity just to kill Qin Wentian. Right now, Qin Wentian clearly already had the advantage. He could fight against the God King of the Western Paradise, and originally wanted to launch a counterattack. Yet he encountered a terrifying calamity. For the sake of the lives of the people, did he want to give up? Who was the Buddha? Who was the Buddha? Buddha said that good and evil would be repaid. But where was the retribution? The Buddha spoke of karma and samsara. Why did this devil control karma and control fate? All the people in the world felt sorrow for Qin Wentian. Could it be that he ultimately couldn't escape his fate? Chapter 2039. Everyone in the supreme ancient immortal realms saw what happened to Qin Wentian. They were asking, who was the Buddha and who was the devil? At this moment, those people whose fates were controlled by the God King of the Western Paradise all started to struggle. Their faith was wavering. At this moment, an intense obsession appeared in the hearts of everyone. They all hoped that the God King of the Western Paradise would die. They hoped that Qin Wentian would be able to win. The boundless obsession transformed into a formless energy that flowed towards the starry space of the supreme ancient immortal realms. In the starry space, Junmengchen felt as though his heart was being sliced by knives when he saw this scene. Everything that everyone experienced, not only could Qin Wentian see it, he could also see it. At the corner of his eyes, there were still traces of tears. Seeing that Qin Wentian was still struggling, his figure flashed and actually flew towards Qin Wentian. He came to the side of Qin Wentian's illusory figure and spoke, "Senior brother, you and I have fought side by side for so many years. Even if we die, we have to die together. Let's work hard one more time. Maybe we might have a chance to seal the constellations in the starry space. How good would that be?" As the sound of his voice faded, Junmengchen closed his eyes. His will enveloped the 9 heavens, enveloping the entire world. After that, boundless insights from the energy flowed towards Qin Wentian. Dao transformation. A tear flowed from Junmengchen's eyes. He stared at the sky and cursed in anger. "Damnable old heavens, if I control the heavenly Dao, I will definitely break apart your heartless heavens." His roar of anger shook the sky. After that, his figure gradually turned illusory. Qin Yuanfeng, who was below, saw this scene. His heart violently trembled. He smiled at the vanishing figure before turning to Qin Wentian. Was this what it meant to be a brother? Using their lives to exchange for a trace of hope. So many people sacrificed themselves. Was it still not enough? Qin Yuanfeng turned his gaze over. He saw another figure walking towards this starry space. This figure was extremely beautiful. Her eyes were wet, so beautiful that it would cause one's heart to break. Qingcheng. Qin Yuanfeng's heart trembled. He turned his gaze to his wife, Luoshan Qianxue. Qingcheng's strength was originally sealed. Why did she come here now? Very soon he understood. His wife and Qingcheng didn't wish for Qin Wentian to give up. Hence Qingcheng came here. The fate calamity light continued shooting towards Qin Wentian. After fusing with Jun Mengchen's insights, his comprehension of the 9 heavenly layers grew even deeper. It was like he could clearly sense everything in this world, seeing the experiences of all the lives in this world. He could even see Qingcheng walking towards him. His heart trembled when he saw her. Qin Wentian. Mo Qingcheng inclined her head and stared at the illusory figure in the air. Tears could be seen at the corners of her eyes as she coldly spoke. I don't care about the heavenly Tao. I don't care about the lives of the common people. I'm not so noble. I only want you to live. Qin Wentian's heart pounded violently. At this moment, Mo Qingcheng's voice was so cold, yet so resolute. You already have the strength to win, yet you have to endure the calamity for the sake of the common people. You only think of the common people, but have you ever thought of me, Sister Qing, or Yuhuang, father and mother? Who are they doing this for? Mo Qingcheng's beautiful eyes were still staring at the sky. Qin Wentian could see that her now. Tears were already streaming down her face. I only want you to live. For you, I can endure all calamities. Even if the heavenly tribulations befall me, I'm willing to endure it. I want you to live. Mo Qingcheng cried out. Her body was burning. She hoped that Qin Wentian would be able to pull himself together. She hoped that Qin Wentian would resist. Qingcheng, what are you doing? Qin Yuanfeng called out. However, Mo Qingcheng didn't seem to hear it. The flames on her body burned even more intensely, like the flames of the heavenly Tao, burning her body. No, Qin Wentian screamed. He stretched out his hand, wanting to grab Mo Qingcheng. But at this moment, beams of tribulation light shot over, directly penetrating through, severing his arm. I swear on the heavenly Tao that if you live and all lives die, I'm willing to endure millions and millions of years of reincarnation. Every time I reincarnate, I will endure the pain of being burned by the heavenly Tao. This is my first reincarnation. The heavenly Tao light around Mo Qingcheng transformed into the power of her oath. Her body grew more and more illusory, but the eyes of her illusory figure were still as resolute as ever. If you die disregarding your own life, disregarding the lives of me and Sister Qing, after 20 years of reincarnation, I will marry someone else. Mo Qingcheng's voice thundered through the heavens and earth. Her figure turned completely illusory and vanished. A beam of tribulation light flew up into the heavenly Tao, heading towards reincarnation. She wanted Qin Wentian to live. She was willing to endure everything, even if she had to endure millions and millions of years of reincarnation. She wouldn't allow Qin Wentian to die. If not, after 20 years of reincarnation, she would marry someone else. Qingcheng. Qin Wentian was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. Why did things turn out like this? He had experienced the calamity of all lives and endured boundless pain. Why did he have to endure such pain? Mo Qingcheng's voice rang out through the starry space. Those in the world who could sense the battle in the starry space could all hear it. Could they blame Mo Qingcheng? No, each and every voice was so cold and emotionless yet filled with deep emotions. She only wanted the man she loved to live. Even if for this, she was willing to endure millions and millions of years of reincarnation. The pain of being burned by the heavenly Tao. Even more obsessions gushed towards Qin Wentian. At this moment, the people of the world actually hoped that Qin Wentian would be able to pull himself together. They hoped that Qin Wentian would fight. Even if the calamity of all lives landed on him, they were willing to see it. Boundless obsessions landed on Qin Wentian, wanting to resist the pain and sorrow of the God King of the Western Paradise. Qin Wentian seemed to be able to sense the emotions and obsessions of all lives. He inclined his head and stared at the sky. With a roar of anger, his illusory figure became corporeal again. With a single glance, He transformed into a heaven-slaying blade that directly slashed apart the beams of destiny that were shooting over. Countless destinies collapsed. However, at this moment, Qin Wentian didn't feel any sorrow. The powerful fate energy bore down on him. He inclined his head and stared at the starry space. Is this the power of fate? Do you all hope that I will continue fighting? Boundless obsessions frenziedly flowed into the starry space, entering Qin Wentian's body. The God King of the Western Paradise was frowning at this moment. He felt that something was wrong. The fates of many people actually broke free from him. Using intense obsessions to break free from the shackles of fate. This originally shouldn't have happened. How powerful was his Buddha-Dao fate art? He could easily influence the hearts of everyone, seizing their faith. But at this moment, an accident actually occurred. Something that shouldn't have happened actually happened. On the contrary, Qin Wentian's will enveloped the entire world, enveloping the starry space. He could sense the boundless obsessions, countless destinies, the hearts of the people of the world, the joys and sorrows of the world, as well as many emotions. All of these gathered on him at this moment, transforming into a powerful faith energy that enveloped him. The heavenly Tao is emotionless, the people of the world have emotions. Qin Wentian could sense all these changes. He involuntarily shed tears. Qingcheng, I will definitely find you. He stared at the sky, staring at the fates of the people on the countless constellations as he shouted. Do you all hope that I will continue fighting? Boundless destinies transformed into extremely powerful obsessions. That was the will of everyone. I understand now. Qin Wentian inclined his head as a smile appeared on his face. As this smile appeared, boundless astral light cascaded down on Qin Wentian. At this instant, the entire Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms started to tremble. Not only the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms, the 33 Immortal Realms were all trembling. In the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms, countless people inclined their heads and stared at the sky. At this moment, an incomparably resplendent astral light suddenly appeared in the sky. The entire world was trembling as the might of the heavenly Tao descended, causing countless people to walk out of their rooms. When they stared at the sky, their hearts trembled violently. What happened? Not only for Azure Mystic, the Eastern Royal Immortal Realms, Scarlet Sun Immortal Realms, the other Immortal Realms, every single location was trembling. Phenomena appeared in the sky as the 33 Immortal Realms resonated with each other. In the air, a supreme sense of will energy appeared. This sense of will was even stronger compared to heavenly might. In the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms, in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, the white-robed young man was still standing there with Headmaster Yi standing behind him. At this moment, a faint smile finally appeared in the eyes of the white-robed young man. Master, has he transcended? Headmaster Yi asked in shock. His comprehension of the heavenly Taos is extremely deep, and he can sense the Tao of the 9 heavenly layers. After that, with the support of Princess Kitamura and Jun Mingchen, he created the Tao of the 9 heavenly layers and split the 9 heavenly layers apart. I once did something similar to him, stepping into the Supreme Immortal Realms. If he continues to comprehend the 9 heavenly layers he created, he might be able to contend against the 9 great heavenly layers one day. But if he wants to control the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms, just this alone isn't enough. This world originally already has its own laws and order. There are countless lives in the world. If he wants to transcend, other than comprehending the heavenly Taos, he still needs the will of the masses. The God King of the Western Paradise already knew this point. Hence, he wanted the faith of everyone in the world, wanting to control their fates. Sadly, he ultimately chose the wrong path. If one doesn't experience the calamity of the masses, how can he understand the will of the masses? The God King of the Western Paradise can be said to have helped him. The white-robed young man smiled, feeling happy for Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian finally managed to reach this step. In this case, he wouldn't be too lonely in the future. Headmaster Yi also had a smile on his face when he heard his master's words. Has Qin Wentian finally transcended? Teacher, do you still want to act now? Now that the masses are facing a calamity, we need to salvage the situation. Headmaster Yi couldn't help but speak. The white-robed young man glanced at him and smiled as he shook his head. After that, he turned and departed. Right now he is no longer weaker than me. Why would I still need to act? The 9 heavenly layers are already his. Chapter 2040. In the Heaven Vault, in the astral river of time and space, the body of the God King of the Western Paradise trembled unceasingly. The fates of all lives were breaking away from his control, resonating with the heavens. He naturally could sense it. No, this can't be, this can't be. He frantically shook his head, feeling an intense reluctance in his heart. He had already foreseen that the time to transcend has arrived. His prediction wasn't wrong, but the person who transcended, wasn't he? Why was this happening? He seized the faith of all lives, controlling their fates. Why wasn't he the one who transcended? Astral light flowed. The constellations in the astral river vanished unceasingly. Very soon, the God King of the Western Paradise appeared in the original starry space. In the air above him, Qin Wentian stared at him. His expression was cold to the extreme. Transcend? What qualifications do you have to transcend? Qin Wentian stared at him. At this moment, the God King of the Western Paradise felt that everyone was looking at him. Every gaze was so cold. The people of the world abandoned him. He no longer had faith in him. His aura grew weaker and weaker as the control of fate he had over his fates was being stripped away. The body of the God King of the Western Paradise was still trembling. A moment later he calmed down. He stared at Qin Wentian and suddenly laughed maniacally. I didn't expect that even though I could foresee the future and speculate on fate, I still failed to foresee my own fate. I cultivated the Tao of fate, yet I was played by fate. This isn't my fault, I wasn't wrong. This is the result of fate. As the sound of his voice faded, his gigantic body started burning. The entire starry space was burning as well. He seemed to know that his fate was already determined, and he no longer resisted. A thunderous boom rang out. His body exploded, causing the starry space to tremble. Everyone in the world felt their hearts trembling when they saw this scene. Has everything ended? However, things haven't ended yet. Qin Wentian stared at the vanishing figure of the God King of the Western Paradise as a cold smile appeared on his face. He lifted his hand and grabbed out in the air. In an instant, beams of light from the constellations in the sky descended, landing at the place where the God King of the Western Paradise exploded. A figure gradually manifested. This figure was extremely illusory. It was half Buddha and half devil. It was impossible to see his features clearly. Is this your Tao of Anatta? Your body, the fate of all living things, isn't controlled by your fleshly body. Your true body is attached to the stars in the heavens, controlling all living things. Even now you still want to deceive me? Do you want to live? Qin Wentian's voice was incomparably calm, yet cold to the extreme. The figure that appeared trembled, and the Buddha and the devil alternated. He roared at Qin Wentian, wanting to break free from the formless power of the heavenly Tao. But at this moment, it was as though the power of the 9 heavens' great Tao had landed on his body, and he couldn't break free. That face changed unceasingly, occasionally transforming into that of a crazed old man, staring at Qin Wentian. Wentian, you have finally reached this step. From time to time, he would transform into a little leaf and say, Godfather. Qin Wentian watched everything with an expressionless face. He stared at that figure and spoke. Since you like to play with fate so much, I will let you die in the boundless calamities of fate. As the sound of his voice faded, boundless fate light descended from the sky, transforming into calamities of fate that bore down on the shadow of the God King of the Western Paradise. In an instant, screams of misery rang out. The boundless calamities of fate slowly stripped away the soul of the God King of the Western Paradise. Every second was the cruelest torture in the world. Kill me. Numerous roars of rage rang out. The God King of the Western Paradise struggled in agony. However, Qin Wentian's heart was like steel at this moment. Even if the God King of the Western Paradise used the cruelest torture in the world to deal with him, he still felt that it wasn't enough. Boundless rage bore down on Qin Wentian. This was the same as Qin Wentian. They wanted nothing more than to tear the God King of the Western Paradise into 1,000 pieces. At this moment, what dogfart kindness! All of them had to scram. If they still wanted to talk about kindness and morality, What did everything they did earlier count for? Could it be that they could just forget about it? The God King of the Western Paradise could only use the cruelest methods to deal with him. You will be tortured in the boundless chaotic spacetime for 1,000,000,000,000 years. Qin Wentian waved his hand. It was like he didn't want to see the God King of the Western Paradise's figure for even a moment longer. The God King of the Western Paradise had entered the boundless chaotic spacetime and would have to endure the calamities of fate for 1,000,000,000,000 years. After expelling the God King of the Western Paradise, Qin Wentian turned his gaze to the 9 heavenly layers. His will enveloped the 9 heavenly layers. At this moment, the entire world seemed to be a single entity. The world light shone before him and gradually, a spirit body was formed. This spirit body kept on transforming, and eventually transformed into the appearance of Jun Mengchen. Jun Mengchen's body moved. After that he opened his eyes and stared at Qin Wentian. It was like he didn't dare to believe this as he called out, "Senior brother Qin." "Mengchen." Qin Wentian smiled at him. "Senior brother Qin, did you win? Also, what's going on? Didn't I transform into the Tao?" Jun Mengchen spoke when he saw this scene. "Mengchen, you are born with the ability to control the Tao of the world, because you are a true spirit of creation of heaven and earth. You are a world spirit body. Even if you transform into the Tao, you would only transform into a part of the 9 heavenly layers." Qin Wentian spoke. He only found out about this earlier. A world spirit body? What is that? I'm born from heaven and earth. Jun Mengchen scratched his head as he mumbled. Qin Wentian revealed a smile. It means that in the future, you will be the one to control the world. This world is yours. What about you, senior brother? Jun Mengchen was even more puzzled. Me. Qin Wentian smiled and didn't reply. He continued to stare at the 9 heavenly layers. The starlight in the 9 heavenly layers was as beautiful and majestic as ever. The boundless starlight seemed to transform into a beautiful figure. It was the figure of Princess Kitamura. Princess Kitamura transformed into the Tao and merged into the 9 heavenly layers, allowing Qin Wentian to sense the 9 heavenly layers more clearly. "Yu Huang, I want you to return." Qin Wentian roared at the sky. Boundless light cascaded down as a princess's figure appeared in the 9 heavenly layers. This figure was incomparably beautiful and holy. It was none other than the figure of Princess Kitamura. She was the same as Jun Mengchen, stunned. After that, she saw that Qin Wentian, the God King of the Western Paradise, had already vanished. At this moment, how could she not understand what was going on? A radiant smile appeared on her face. At the same time, a teardrop flowed down her face. This teardrop was like a sparkling and translucent constellation. Did she succeed? Qin Wentian was still alive and well. As for her, it originally didn't matter if she could return or not. But now she has returned. This was naturally a better ending. Qin Wentian also stared at Princess Kitamura. The two of them stared at each other in the starry space as radiant smiles appeared in their eyes. Qin Wentian didn't say any words of thanks. Between them, what meaning was there to words of thanks? Qin Yuanfeng, Luo Shenqianxue and the others all smiled when they saw this scene. They hoped that everything would be fine. When they were in despair, Qingqing entered samsara, Jun Mengchen transformed into the Tao, Qin Wentian underwent a transformation, causing the 9 heavenly layers to tremble. Right now, Qin Wentian has finally reached that step that no one has ever reached before. Qing'er stared at everything in the air. She also smiled. However, her hands were still clenched tightly, because there was still someone who hasn't returned. She didn't know what transcendence meant. Would it be able to change everything? Would she be able to come back to life? If she couldn't return, Qin Wentian would still be in pain. She would be the same as well. Not only for Qing, many people around her felt the same. They were very happy because Qin Wentian won. All the calamities have finally ended. However, they were also very nervous because there was someone who hasn't returned yet. Everyone understood the weight of that person in Qin Wentian's heart. That person was someone no one could replace. She looked so cold. She could disregard the lives of the common people and wanted Qin Wentian to live. However, she would rather endure the tribulation of samsara for millions of years. She only wanted Qin Wentian to continue fighting. Mo Qingcheng, could she return? Everyone was praying in their hearts, hoping that Qin Wentian could do it. Everyone stared up at the starry space. Qin Wentian's gaze finally shifted away from Princess Kitamura. He closed his eyes, and in the next instant, everyone only saw Qin Wentian's silhouette vanishing. However, an instant later, he appeared again, standing in the starry space. Before him, another figure appeared. This figure was none other than the Grim Reaper. At the instant she saw the Grim Reaper, tears actually flowed from Qin Er's smiling eyes. Qin Wentian could do it, he really could do it. Everyone relaxed their nervous hearts. Since the Grim Reaper could return, everyone would be able to return as well. What ability is this? In the supreme ancient immortal realms, someone felt their hearts trembling when they saw the Grim Reaper returning. Those who were already dead had all returned. He has already transcended, surpassing the Daos of the 9 heavenly layers. The him now is no longer bound by the heavenly Daos and can surpass the cycle of samsara. He can walk in the past and the future, even reversing the flow of time. Earlier, maybe he went to the past and brought the Grim Reaper back. An expert mumbled. The shock in his heart was incomparably great. From today onwards, Qin Wentian would be the God King of the supreme ancient immortal realms. He truly deserved it. Everyone in the world felt happy for him. Luckily, he stopped the God King of the Western Paradise, or it would be a calamity for all lives. Since the Grim Reaper can revive, what about the lives of the common people? Many people had expressions of anticipation on their faces. This was a calamity. Right now, Qin Wentian has already reached the peak of his cultivation realm, transcending the cycle of samsara. He most probably wouldn't be willing to see this calamity. Such a calamity was simply too tragic. Everyone hoped that they could salvage the situation. There was also Qin Wentian's wife. The people of the world also hoped that she would be able to return and live a good life. Although she was so cold earlier and didn't care about the lives of the common people, no one blamed her. They truly hoped that she could return. They hoped that the supreme ancient immortal realms would have a perfect ending. Chapter 2041. Qin Wentian still stood in the starry space. He still had many things he hadn't done. Also, at this moment he could sense the will of the masses. He could sense that they all hoped for Qingqing's return. He was very happy. The great Tao is emotionless, but the masses have emotions. Although there were evil characters like the God King of the Western Paradise and Yu Changkong in the world, ultimately, there were many kind-hearted people in the world. How could the masses suffer such a calamity? He closed his eyes and his perception enveloped the 9 heavenly layers. The 9 heavenly layers and the countless constellations radiated the light of fate, cascading down on the world. The beams of fate light enveloped the countless bodies in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Those bodies quietly laid there. Their fates had been stripped away. But now, Qin Wentian wanted to return it to them. The countless constellations seemed to have reversed the flow of astral light. The fates of countless lives appeared above the constellations. After that, they flowed towards the supreme ancient immortal realms, resembling a rain of life that cascaded down on the boundless earth. This rain of stars was so beautiful, so resplendent. The people of the supreme ancient immortal realms felt like they were in a dream. It was too beautiful. Elder brother, this rain of stars is so beautiful. Can you see it? At this moment, a young girl who was carrying her elder brother's corpse on her back couldn't help but cry when she saw the beautiful scene in the sky. Yeah, it's so beautiful. A voice rang out behind her. The young girl trembled violently. After that, she put down the corpse she was carrying on her back and stared at the awakened figure behind her. She couldn't help but cry bitterly as she threw herself into the arms of the young man. Her elder brother had come back to life. In another place, in a courtyard, a young couple sat up from the cold ground. They looked curiously at the crying parents and child beside them and asked, "What's wrong?" The old man and child started. After that, the child cried and threw himself into the arms of his parents. The old man's body trembled as he knelt to the sky. The heavens have eyes, the heavens have eyes. Under an ancient tree, a man sat there. His heart was like dead ashes, like a dead man. In his arms, there was an extremely beautiful woman. At this moment, the woman's eyelashes fluttered. After that, she opened her beautiful eyes and saw the man she loved staring blankly into the distance. She asked softly, "Are you all right?" The man froze, lowering his head to look at the woman. Her beautiful eyes were still staring at him. After a few moments, the man lowered his head and deeply kissed the woman's red lips. The woman was stunned, her beautiful eyes blinked. After that, as though she could feel the love of her lover, she also hugged the man's neck, forgetting herself for a moment. Such scenes occurred everywhere in the supreme ancient immortal realms. After experiencing the calamity, the entire supreme ancient immortal realms regained its vitality and vitality. When the meteor shower disappeared, everything in the starry sky also disappeared. The people of the world felt a sense of loss. Countless people looked up at the sky and silently prayed in their hearts. "Father, Mother, who saved me?" In the supreme ancient immortal realms, a child who had just started cultivating not long ago asked, "Qin Wentian." His parents looked at the sky and hugged their child. It was very warm. "Who is Qin Wentian?" The child innocently asked. The eyes of his parents flashed. After that his father smiled. "The Supreme Ancient God King." The Supreme Ancient God King. Not far away, there were also people who spoke the same 4 words. The Supreme Ancient God King. In every corner of the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms, these 4 words rang out unceasingly. Gradually, everyone in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms knew about this. They all stared up at the starry sky and prostrated themselves in worship, filled with boundless reverence. In the air, the 4 words Supreme Ancient God King rose up into the air, directly soaring up into the 9 heavenly layers, shaking the entire universe. Until in the entire Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms, there were only these 4 words. These 4 words represented true faith, the faith of everyone in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. Qin Wentian could sense everything that happened in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. However, he didn't feel excited because of the title the people of the world gave him. The him right now still had many important things he wanted to do. A figure appeared in the starry space. This figure was extremely beautiful and exuded vitality. She stood in the starry space, and when her gaze landed on Qin Wentian, she couldn't help but be stunned. After that, she suddenly started crying and called out, "Godfather." As she spoke, she quickly rushed into Qin Wentian's embrace and sobbed, "Godfather, little ye knew that you would definitely save me. I thought that I would never be able to see Godfather again. It's fine now, everything is in the past." A smile appeared on Qin Wentian's face as he lightly patted little Ye's back. Behind Qin Wentian, several silhouettes walked over. Among them were Fan Lu and Xian Xian. Both of them were trembling as they stared in disbelief at the scene before them. Fan Yi. Fatty's eyes were wet. He didn't expect that his daughter would still be able to return. "Father, Mother." Fan Yi then rushed towards Fan Lu and Xian Xian. When Qin Wentian saw that his family was reunited, a relaxed smile appeared on his face. The guilt he felt in the past could finally be made up for. Luckily, he didn't make it in time. "Father, Mother, what's going on exactly? Didn't I die? Also, right now, I feel like I'm dead. It's like there's another me. This feels like a surreal world." Little Yi softly spoke. Xian Xian's tears flowed. "Lass, it's fine now. Everything is in the past. Your godfather has already transcended the heavenly Tao, and is in control of the 9 heavenly layers, allowing you to revive from the dead." Little Yi blinked. She turned her head and stared at Qin Wentian. "Godfather, are you more powerful than a heavenly deity now?" "MHM. Qin Wentian smiled and nodded. "But why do I still have a feeling that everything is surreal? My other self has already died." Little Yi shook her head. She didn't understand. This feeling was very strange. "Silly lass, don't think too much. Godfather will protect you well." Qin Wentian gently patted Fanya's head. "Little Yi, don't worry. With Godfather around, no one will be able to bully you in the future." A voice rang out. It was Ouyang Qinshin. "Qinshin." The sisters met again and embraced each other. At this moment, the Grim Reaper glanced at Qin Wentian and transmitted his voice. I also have a similar feeling. Is it because you changed our original fate? Qin Wentian turned his gaze to the Grim Reaper as he nodded his head lightly. Seems like there were still some repercussions. However, being able to achieve this was already the best ending. After all, he transcended the heavenly Tao and changed his fate. This was why he could bring the Grim Reaper and Little Yi back. Wentian. At this moment, Qing stood beside Qin Wentian and called out softly. Qin Wentian turned his head and stared at Qing Er's beautiful eyes. There seemed to be something on her mind. How could he not understand Qing Er's thoughts? He walked up and hugged the woman he loved tightly as he softly spoke. Qing Er, from today onwards, this world will never be able to separate us again. Qing Er nodded lightly and similarly hugged Qin Wentian. His mother, Luoshan Qianxue, also walked over. Many of his loved ones also turned their gazes to Qin Wentian. Because there was still one person who didn't return. That person was someone who couldn't be missing in Qin Wentian's life. If he didn't return, the ending wouldn't be perfect. Qin Wentian released Qing Er. When he thought of that ice-cold oath, his heart felt like it was being sliced by knives. He hated himself. Why did he let her suffer such pain? However, should he defy the heavens and change his fate to allow Qingqing to return? If that's the case, Qingqing would be the same as the Grim Reaper and Little Yi. She would be incomplete. Qingqing didn't die. She transformed into the Tao and entered the cycle of reincarnation. He would be able to find her. Closing his eyes, Qin Wentian seemed to be sensing something. He saw an innocent little girl growing up carefreely without any worries. There was no pain, no sorrow, only happiness. A moment later, Qin Wentian opened his eyes, feeling a little relieved. He turned his head and stared at Princess Kitamura. "Yu Huang, are you willing to wait for me for another 20 years? Princess Kitamura's heart trembled as her eyes turned moist. She naturally understood the meaning behind Qin Wentian's words. She nodded heavily. "Even if I have to wait for 2,000 years, I'm willing. I'm willing to endure 20 years of longing to protect her, to wait for her, to accompany her as she grows. When she recovers her memories, I want the woman I love to be perfect and flawless." Qin Wentian stared at everyone as he spoke. Everyone nodded heavily. This was Qin Wentian punishing himself. For the next 20 years, he would think of her every day and endure it alone. Qingqing, who had entered the cycle of reincarnation, had no idea of this. When her memories awakened, only then would she truly be the complete Qingqing. "I'll accompany you." Qing held on to Qin Wentian's hand as she spoke in a light voice. Qin Wentian looked at her and nodded with a smile. The people in the surroundings all had smiles on their faces. To them, 20 years was very short. They were all willing to accompany Qin Wentian and wait together. 20 years later, everything would be even more perfect. They were all filled with anticipation for the arrival of that day. Qin Wentian told Yu Huang to wait for him for 20 years. Before Qingqing returns, it would be hard for Qin Wentian to have the mood to hold a wedding. But after Qingqing returns, there would definitely be a grand wedding in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Qin Yuanfeng and his wife clasped their hands tightly together. Everything was moving towards a perfect future. Chapter 2042. Qin Wentian was a conferred king of the supreme ancient immortal realms. He was known as the God King of the supreme ancient immortal realms. The Qin heavenly divine sect ruled over the world. From now on, there were no more 8 regions in the supreme ancient immortal realms. The world was one and the hearts of the people were all willing to submit to them. In the heaven region, at the ancient ruins of the Qin clan, a towering divine palace rose up from the ground. It was known as the God King Palace, and became the center of the supreme ancient immortal realms. As for why they chose the ancient ruins of the Qin clan and not the Boundless Sea region, it was a decision made by the supreme characters of the Qin clan, Qin Tiangang and Qin Yuanfeng. Naturally, the current God King Palace was no longer the Qin clan of the past. With Qin Wentian around, who in the world would still remember the Qin clan? They would only know that the God King Palace was chosen here. Maybe it was because Qin Tiangang and his son wanted to reminisce about the past. But no matter what, this faction that was once abandoned by the Qin clan completely replaced the Qin clan. and became much stronger. Everyone worshipped them, and they became the absolute center of the supreme ancient immortal realms. The God King Palace stood tall. The Qiankuan sect and Nine Heavens mystical palace of the heaven region all became part of it. In this storm that affected the hegemonic powers of the supreme ancient immortal realms, they were the few hegemonic powers that survived. Also in the future, they would grow even stronger. All of this was because they made the right choice, standing on Qin Wentian's side. The prison god clan, Che clan and many other major powers were all destroyed. The name of the battle saint tribe once again resounded through the heavens and earth. The Luotian clan, Demon God Mountain, Namhuang clan, Evergreen clan and other major powers, as followers of the God King of the supreme ancient immortal realms, there was naturally no need to say anything. All of them could freely enter and exit the God King Palace. It was unknown how many geniuses in the world wanted to join them. The Tiandao Sacred Academy was still a sacred ground, standing tall and unshakable. No one could shake its position. As for the names of those around Qin Wentian, those who once fought alongside him, their names all resounded through the supreme ancient immortal realms. Jun Mengchen was rumored to be the spiritual body of the world. He was born to control the world. During the Battle of Primordial King Conferral, he had once transformed into the Tao to support Qin Wentian. People called him the Divine King of the World. Princess Kitamura was Qin Wentian's beloved woman. It was rumored that she and the primordial godly king Qin Wentian had been in love for many years, but because the godly king had a wife by his side, they could only silently stay together. During the Primordial King Conferral battle, her soul also merged with the Nine Heavens Star River, and was resurrected by Qin Wentian. The people of the world called her the Dark North Godly King. Qin Yuanfeng, God King of the Six Paths Qin Wentian's pet, the heaven-devouring beast, was said to be close to the level of a God King. It was the descendant of God King Desolation. In the future, it would definitely become the new God King Desolation. It was only a matter of time. Evergreen Qing, and Mo Qingqing's names naturally became famous after Qin Wentian was conferred the title of the Nine Heavens Goddess, the wife of the supreme ancient godly monarch. Everything in the supreme ancient immortal realms was overturned. Everything was flourishing and filled with vitality. Countless lives in the supreme ancient immortal realms, no matter how far away they were, all of them rushed towards the heaven region, going on a pilgrimage. From now onwards, the God King Palace would become a pilgrimage ground in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Over there would be a person who achieved unprecedented accomplishments, transcending the nine heavens and saving the lives of the people. A single word from him could determine the laws of the world, allowing people to revive from the dead. There were even people who wanted to beg Qin Wentian to save their friends and family. But they knew that other than this calamity, it was impossible for Qin Wentian to save others. If not, the order of the world would be thrown into chaos. Qin Wentian didn't need to do anything else. He could only focus on reviving the dead. Outside the God King Palace, many people stood together. They stared at the God King Palace that towered into the nine heavens as endless emotions flooded their hearts. In fact, there were even some old people who couldn't help but cry bitterly, burying their heads in the ground as they kowtowed to the God King Palace. Qin Ding and Qin Zheng, they harmed our Qin clan. They were all members of the Qin clan. They came here just like everyone else to view the God King Palace. When they saw the majestic scene of the God King Palace today, one could very well imagine how they felt in their hearts right now. They could only be described with the words regret, so much pain that they wished they were dead. If the matters of the past didn't happen, the Qin clan would be the overseer of the God King Palace now. Everyone in the world would come here to pay their respects. How glorious would that be? There has never been such glory in the supreme ancient immortal realms before, even surpassing the glory of the 8 God Kings of the supreme ancient immortal realms. Qin Wentian was now the #1 expert in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Qin Tiangang and his wife were revived by him, and together with Qin Yuanfeng, they became the overseer of the God King Palace, controlling the most central area of the supreme ancient immortal realms. In truth, right now, Qin Tiangang and Qin Yuanfeng weren't as happy as they imagined. On the contrary, they felt a headache. There were too many things they had to handle. After the God King Palace was established, people of the world came here to pay their respects. How many things had happened in the supreme ancient immortal realms? Countless matters, big or small, were all gathered here. Qin Wentian was so good, he directly threw all the work away and no one could blame him. After all, everyone knew what he was going to do. These countless matters, big or small, could only be handled by them. The desolate region is a little troublesome. In-law, does your Luotian clan still have any thoughts? The Demon God Mountain and Battle Saint tribe are also from there. In the future, who will be the one to govern the desolate region? Qin Tiangang spoke to Luotian Chuan. After he was revived, he knew that Qin Wentian had transcended. He was incomparably happy in his heart. This was his grandson. Back then when he returned from the past, he suppressed the Qin clan and died together with Qin Ding. The hope of his bloodline was all on Qin Wentian. His grandson didn't disappoint him. There's no need to consider my Luotian clan. Luotian Chuan smiled and waved his hand. He was Qin Wentian's maternal grandfather. It was meaningless for him to want the authority to govern a region. As long as Qin Wentian existed, the Luotian clan would exist. But now, who else would be able to do anything to Qin Wentian? Elder brother, do you have any suggestions? Qin Yuanfeng glanced at Luotian Yu as he asked. Right now, the Skyordar heavenly deity has already recovered to his peak state. Before Wentian left, he left behind a message. Our God King Palace isn't established for the sake of governing the supreme ancient immortal realms. It's only to set some rules. As long as no evil characters like the Western Paradise or Yu Changkong appear, we won't interfere in the matters of the world. The desolate region is more chaotic. Why don't we let it become the territory of the demons? Qiyu has followed Wentian for many years. He most probably wouldn't care about such a minor matter. Luotian Yu spoke. Qin Yuanfeng nodded. Mengchen, why don't you communicate with Qiyu about this? Qin Yuanfeng glanced at Jun Mengchen, who was reading through the scrolls at the side. There were simply too many scrolls from the major and minor powers of the various regions. Qin Yuanfeng's divine sense scanned through them one by one, and his speed was extremely fast. Right. Jun Mengchen nodded. At this moment, a figure walked in. It was Luotian Lei. Her beautiful eyes flashed with unhappiness. She stared at Luotian Chuan and her father, Luotian Yu. Grandpa father, a group of elders from the Luotian clan has returned. Oh. Luotian Yu frowned. After that, he seemed to have understood something. He coldly spoke. They still have the face to return. Luotian Chuan also had a cold look on his face as he walked forward. Luotian Qianxue also understood what was going on when she heard their conversation. She asked, "Is it Luotian Mu and his group?" She already knew of some things that happened in the Luotian clan back then. Back then, when Qin Wentian appeared in the Luotian clan, not only did Luotian Mu's group not provide protection, they even directly sold the news to the Qin clan. Qin Zheng personally went there to capture Qin Wentian. A heavenly deity pursued Qin Wentian, who was still at the World Overlord realm. If it wasn't for the fact that Qin Wentian's talent was at the peak, allowing him to kill a heavenly deity, the God King Palace most probably wouldn't exist today. Luotian Mu didn't come. Luotian Lei spoke. Most probably, Luotian Mu also knew that no one would accept him. However, since these people dared to come, their skin must be extraordinarily thick. I didn't find them to settle the debt. Now they actually still have the face to return. Luotian Qianxue coldly spoke. Qin Wentian might not care about the matters of the past, but she did. Luotian Chuan's group almost caused the death of her son. They said that they came here to apologize. Luotian Lei spoke. Apologizing is a lie. They probably want to ask for forgiveness and return to the Luotian clan to enjoy life. Luotian Qianxue coldly spoke. How could there be such a good thing in the world? Lei passed the order. Capture all of them and bring Luotian Mu back. Investigate what happened in the past and deal with him all at once. Luotian Qianxue coldly spoke, exuding a bone-chilling aura. No one doubted her words. Luotian Lei nodded and left this place, going to relay Luotian Qianxue's order. After the order was given, people swiftly went to deal with this matter. Those who followed Luotian Mu were all captured. Not long after, Luo Shenmu was brought back to the God King Palace. One could very well imagine his ending. This matter circulated through the supreme ancient immortal realms. Everyone said that right now, the will of the supreme ancient God King could cover the entire supreme ancient immortal realms. For those who offended him in the past, they wouldn't be able to escape even if they wanted to. After this news circulated out, many people felt panic in their hearts. They took the initiative to head to the heaven region, preparing to apologize. But right now, the person who was conferred the title of Godly Monarch, the character worshipped by everyone in the world, Qin Wentian, wasn't in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Right now, the name of the supreme ancient godly monarch no longer only circulated through the supreme ancient immortal realms. The 33 immortal realms came to pay their respects, and ancient Azure Mystic was completely unsealed. The ancient ruins were opened, and the Azure Mystic immortal realms expanded by an unknown amount. The name of the Heaven Empyrean still resounded through every corner of Azure Mystic. The people of Azure Mystic already knew that the Heaven Empyrean Qin Wentian had already been conferred the title of Godly Monarch in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. He was the #1 character in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms now. The 9 heavenly layers were all under his control. For those who still didn't know the name of the Godly Monarch, only the particle worlds around the 33 immortal realms. In the particle world where Qin Wentian once grew up, there was a small ancient city. The Mo residence in the city was an extremely famous clan. This was especially so for the younger generation of the clan, Mo Changtian. He was the #1 genius of the Mo residence, and he married the #1 beauty in the city, becoming the envy of countless people. Today, the entire Mo residence was bustling with activity. Everyone was very nervous because today was the day Mo Changtian's wife was about to give birth. At this moment, outside the Mo residence, a young man stood there. The guards at the entrance only felt that this young man was extraordinary. He was clad in white and had a handsome countenance. Also, the aura he exuded gave people a strange feeling. But at this moment, this white-robed young man seemed to be extremely nervous as he stared into the Mo residence. After that, the cries of a baby rang out. After that, a joyous cheer rang out in the Mo residence. She gave birth to a daughter. Young Master Changtian gave birth to a daughter, and is preparing to name her. Yan what should our child be called? Mo Changtian stared at his weak wife. He carried the baby in his arms and spoke in a light voice. Like you. In the future, you will surely be a great beauty. You can decide. The woman spoke in a light voice. Right, my daughter will surely be a beauty capable of toppling empires. Let's call her Mo Qingqing then. Chapter 2043. Now that the Mo residence had a young miss, it was filled with vitality. Not far away from the Mo residence, there were a few simple houses. Every day, he would sit in front of the house and stare in the direction of the Mo residence in a daze. Sometimes he would smile foolishly, and sometimes he would come to the Mo residence and quietly watch. Gradually, the people of the Mo residence recognized him. They felt somewhat strange. Why would such a handsome young man stay outside the Mo residence all day? In addition, his demeanor was extraordinary, yet the aura he exuded was very ordinary. There was nothing special about him, and he seemed like an ordinary good-looking person. Because he was good-looking, he didn't disturb the Mo residence. The people of the Mo residence naturally allowed this strange young man to exist. In the blink of an eye, half a year passed. Little Qingqing already learned how to walk and was extremely lively and adorable. Sometimes her family members would bring her to the entrance of the residence. Every time he saw this scene, that strange young man would be extremely serious, and even a little agitated. He would have a smile on his face, and it was simply too good-looking when he smiled. If not, the people of the Mo residence would surely think that he had evil intentions towards little Qingqing. Mo Changtian also noticed him. There was once when he couldn't help but to walk up to him and ask him what he wanted to do exactly. Qin Wentian only smiled and didn't reply. He couldn't possibly tell Mo Changtian that he was waiting for his daughter to grow up. If he did so, Mo Changtian would surely think that he was a madman. Naturally, he had too many methods to bring Qingqing away, but he didn't. He would use 20 years to quietly watch her grow up. Spring passed and autumn came. 2 years passed. Qin Wentian was still the same as before. His hair hadn't been trimmed for a very long time, and his beard had grown out. Today, a 2-year-old little girl ran out of the Mo residence. She was extremely adorable and had a ponytail. There was already a shadow of her from her previous life. Upon seeing her running over, the smile on Qin Wentian's face turned extremely gentle. "Strange uncle, my father said that the weather is getting colder. Why don't you come and sit in the residence for a while?" Little Qingqing's voice sounded extremely childish. Qin Wentian smiled and shook his head. "In that case, I will accompany strange uncle here for a while. My father told me to read some books, and said that I have to prepare to cultivate at any time." "Strange uncle, have you started cultivating?" Little Qingqing asked. "Yes." Qin Wentian nodded gently. "Do you want my father to teach you? You can come and read with me." Little Qingqing leaned against Qin Wentian and sat down. She who was still immature didn't know that she had an innate sense of closeness to the man before her. In front of little Qingqing, a snow-white puppy rubbed itself against her. Little Qingqing giggled and spoke in a melodious voice. "Little rascal, you are being mischievous again." At this moment, Qin Wentian's brows twitched. However, he relaxed a moment later, and continued to quietly accompany little Qingqing. In the small house behind him, Qing quietly stared in the direction where Qin Wentian was at. Not far away from her, a few figures appeared. It was none other than Jun Mingchen, Princess Kitamura and Yi Qianyu. Senior brother truly has deep feelings for elder sister Qingqing. Jun Mingchen spoke in a light voice. Qin Wentian's name has long resounded through the supreme ancient immortal realms. It was unknown how many people paid homage to him, wanting to meet him. However, his senior brother actually came here alone, wanting to accompany Qingqing as she grew up. However, when he thought of the vow Mo Qingqing made 2 years ago in the starry space, his heart involuntarily trembled, finding it hard to calm down. What kind of feelings must Mo Qingqing have for her to make such a vow? "Why are you guys here? It's fine for me to accompany him alone." Qing'er spoke in a light voice. Her personality had always been quiet, and she was long used to silently watching Qin Wentian. Very long ago in the particle world, it had always been like this. For the next 20 years, she would accompany Qin Wentian. "I have some things to ask senior brother." Jun Mingchen spoke. "Sister Yuhuang and Sister Qianyu want to come and take a look." "Elder Sister Yuhuang, it has been hard on you." Qing'er spoke to Princess Kitamura. Qin Wentian told her to wait for him for 20 years. Right now there were still 18 years left. Yuhuang smiled and shook her head. She naturally understood Qin Wentian's feelings. Qingqing didn't return. How would Qin Wentian have the mood to marry her? They didn't disturb Qin Wentian, who was accompanying Qingqing. They silently watched on. They also missed Qingqing. She wasn't merely Qin Wentian's wife, she was their kin as well. After a long time, after Qingqing returned to her residence, Qin Wentian slowly walked over. Upon seeing Princess Kitamura and the others, a warm smile appeared on Qin Wentian's face. "Senior brother." Jun Mingchen walked over. "Didn't I tell you to stay in the supreme ancient immortal realms? If there's anything, just send a message to me. Why did you come down personally?" Qin Wentian asked. Jun Mingchen scratched his head and smiled. "Sister Yuhuang and Sister Qianyu both miss you. Uncle and Auntie also asked me to come and visit elder sister Qingqing. They also wanted to come, but they didn't want to disturb you. Hence, they decided to continue waiting, hoping that you can bring elder sister Qingqing back as soon as possible. It has been hard on you guys." Qin Wentian spoke to Princess Kitamura and Yi Qianyu. The two of them smiled warmly, clearly not minding it at all. "Senior brother, there's a power named the Star River Association that specializes in developing in particle worlds. They came here to beg senior brother for forgiveness. It's said that they once offended senior brother in a particle world. I only found out about this after reading some records from many years ago. In addition, they brought the people in charge of the Star River Association to the God King Palace. Also, the Jiang clan of the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms, and some other powers also came here to beg for forgiveness." Jun Mingchen spoke. In the past, these powers all hid, but now, they didn't dare to not come out. They were afraid that Qin Wentian would remember this grudge. Now that Qin Wentian was conferred the godly monarch of the supreme ancient immortal realms, it was useless even if they hid. They could only take the initiative to beg for forgiveness. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. This was something that happened many years ago. Because too many things happened to him, he gradually forgot about some things. Now that Jun Mingchen mentioned it, he did recall it. Tell the Star River Association to disband. From now on, cripple their cultivation bases. As for the other powers, Mingchen, you guys can deal with them as you see fit. Qin Wentian casually spoke, sounding extremely carefree. Right. Jun Mingchen nodded. There are still some matters in Azure Mystic that weren't settled cleanly in the past. I'll settle them as well. Qin Wentian nodded. To him, those matters were no longer that important. Jun Mingchen and the others stayed for a period of time before they left. Only Qin Wentian, and Little Rascal, who had transformed into a pet, remained. Who knew what sort of characters were living in this ordinary-looking little house? Winter, the little city was covered in white snow. It was quiet and beautiful. Little Qingqing was already 6 years old. She had long started her cultivation, and her first constellation was able to condense a connection with a constellation from the fourth heavenly layer, causing an uproar in the entire kingdom. Right now, countless people were paying attention to the Mo clan, as well as a little girl named Mo Qingqing. Outside the Mo residence, melodious laughter rang out. On the snow-white ground, footprints of various sizes could be seen. On the ground, a snowman was built. This snowman had very long hair and a long beard, yet it was handsome. It was actually in the form of Qin Wentian. Strange uncle, do the snowman I built look like you? Little Qingqing called out to Qin Wentian. She, who was 6 years old, already had some resemblance to her younger self. She was extremely beautiful. Yes. Qin Wentian smiled and nodded. For 6 years he didn't do anything. He only watched as Qingqing grew up bit by bit. Although he was an outsider and had never taken half a step into the Mo clan, Qingqing gradually treated him as a relative. Naturally, this was also because of the innate sense of closeness between them. The people of the Mo clan were long used to Qin Wentian's existence. Also, he wouldn't harm Qingqing, he truly doted on her. In addition, Qin Wentian had a fairy-like beauty as his wife. Hence, everyone naturally wouldn't think that he had any bad habits. Although they didn't understand what Qin Wentian was planning, they still let him be. Naturally, there were many people in the Mo clan who disliked Qin Wentian. However, Qin Wentian wouldn't bother with them. Strange uncle, let me help you trim your hair and beard. Little Qingqing walked to the side of Qin Wentian as she spoke. Sure. Qin Wentian smiled and nodded. A mischievous smile appeared on Qingqing's face. Astral energy flowed around her little hands as she helped Qin Wentian to trim his hair. After that, she also tidied his beard. Not long later, some black hair and beard could be seen on the white snow. Qingqing stared at the appearance of Qin Wentian as she innocently spoke. Strange uncle, you are the most good-looking person I've ever seen. When I grow up, I want to marry someone as good-looking as strange uncle. Qin Wentian's heart trembled. He silently mused in his heart. Qingqing, I will wait for you to grow up. Qingqing, come back. Someone in the Mo residence called out. Mo Qingqing nodded and replied. Second uncle, I will be right back. After speaking, she jogged back to the Mo residence. The residence is so big. Why do you always like to run outside to play? Now you can already cultivate and your talent is the best in the history of our Mo clan. Work hard in your cultivation and in the future, your name will shake the world. Don't leave the residence too often. The man spoke in a strict tone. Oh. Little Qingqing nodded her head unwillingly. After that, she turned her head and made a face at Qin Wentian. Her second uncle coldly glanced at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian quietly watched. He didn't do anything. Unless something major happened, he wouldn't interfere or disturb Qingqing's growth. He hoped that she would grow up happily without any worries. Chapter 2044. The supreme ancient immortal realms were undergoing heaven-toppling changes every day. Countless new powers rose up as countless geniuses were born. All of them had the same dream. They wanted to join the God King Palace. For example, the Battle Saint tribe, Namhuang clan, myriad Devil Islands, etc. If they joined one of these sects, they would be able to soar up into the sky with a single leap. In fact, they might even be able to enter the heaven vault and comprehend the Tao in the starry space. The changes in the supreme ancient immortal realms also affected the other 32 immortal realms. Among them, the changes in the Eastern Royal Immortal Realms and Scarlet Sun Immortal Realms were the greatest. Back then, Yu Changkong wreaked havoc in the Eastern Royal Immortal Realms, causing the lives of the people there to be plunged into misery. Now they were gradually recovering. In the Scarlet Sun Immortal Realms, the young master of the Chao clan who once rebelled and left the Scarlet Sun Immortal Realms was respectfully invited back by the doyens of the Chao clan. The position of the clan leader was given to Chao Tian. Those people who once treated Chao Tian coldly were all fawning over him, wanting to mend their relationship. However, Chao Tian simply said that who cared about the position of the Chao clan's clan leader? He didn't want it. He continued roaming around with his friends, drinking and drinking. How wonderful was this? His drinking buddies were still 10 Miles Springwind and the others, as well as the sword monarch Jian Junlai. Occasionally, when he was in the mood, he would head to the heaven vault to comprehend the heavenly Daos. How wonderful was his life! The Chao clan had asked Chao Tian for help countless times, wanting to establish a connection with the God King Palace, allowing some of their elders to enter the heaven vault to cultivate. Chao Tian couldn't be bothered with them. Although he knew that if he sent a message to Qin Wentian, it would only take a single sentence. But what did the cultivation of those old fellows have to do with him? Naturally, the place that changed the most was the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms. The seal on ancient Azure Mystic was undone. It was like the birth of the heavens and earth. Boundless territories appeared and ancient ruins were excavated everywhere. Let alone people from Azure Mystic. Even people from the supreme ancient immortal realms came here to explore. Azure Mystic was extremely attractive to the supreme ancient immortal realms. Other than the ancient ruins, there was another important reason. This place was the place where Qin Wentian grew up. Qin Wentian was known as the Heaven Empyrean by the people of Azure Mystic. Right now, the people of Azure Mystic also knew that their Heaven Empyrean Qin Wentian was already a king in the 33 immortal realms. Many people from the supreme ancient immortal realms came to Azure Mystic to investigate the legendary growth of the supreme ancient God King. To their shock, they discovered that Qin Wentian's legend didn't start from Azure Mystic. Instead, he started from a tiny particle world in the Azure Mystic immortal realms. From a particle world, he climbed all the way to the peak of the world. What sort of legendary path was this? Azure Mystic Qin Emperor. You immortal emperor cultivators from the legends. Heaven and Earth Heaven, Emperor Saint Ancient Dragon King Qin Yu Emperor, and Qin and many people. The ancient god Ancient World Qin Saint. Time flew by, and it had been almost 16 years since the battle of the gods in the starry sky. Many years ago, after Qin Wentian brought his friends and family away, there was a period of silence in the particle world. After so many years, the particle world gradually grew more and more prosperous. Because this place was the homeland of the supreme ancient godly monarch, Qin Wentian. During these 10+ years, many sects from the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms established their sects here, recruiting disciples with outstanding talent. With the example of Qin Wentian, who would dare to look down on people from this particle world? A hero never asks where he came from. In addition, no one would dare to do evil in this particle world. This was the homeland of the ancient godly monarch. Who knew if the ancient godly monarch's divine sense had swept through here? If he discovered that someone was committing evil, the consequences could very well be imagined. Nobody knew that Qin Wentian was currently in this particle world. At this moment, he was sitting on a chair in front of a small house, quietly enjoying the sunlight. It had been close to 16 years. Qingcheng had gradually grown up. In just a few more years, she would be able to return. Strange uncle. At this moment, a beautiful figure riding on a crane flew over from afar, stopping before Qin Wentian. When he saw the figure clad in white riding on the crane, Qin Wentian felt as though he was in a dream. Once, when he and Mo Qingqing first met, she was already at this age. Her appearance was the same. Her beauty was enough to topple empires and cities. She was as beautiful as a celestial maiden. Also, she was riding on a crane. A cycle of reincarnation, a dream. They were both in this particle world, in the other Mo residence, riding on the crane. Everything felt like a dream. The Qingqing now was already the same as the Qingqing he met in his previous life. You broke through. Qin Wentian smiled. She wasn't even 16 yet, and was already at the celestial phenomenon realm. If this was in the particle world of the past, it would be sufficient to shock everyone. During these years, my teacher has been silently guiding me. Not long ago, my teacher gave me an immortal crane to ride on. Mo Qingqing smiled as she floated down from the crane. She came to the side of Qin Wentian and spoke. Strange uncle, there's something I want to ask you. Qin Wentian smiled and nodded. During these years, he had watched Qingqing grow up. Qingqing had already treated him as her kin. Back then, Mo Qingqing's second uncle had warned him once, and after that, he rarely went out of the Mo residence. However, Qingqing would often come here to look for him. There's an immortal sect that came to the Mo residence, wanting to recruit me. They want me to cultivate there, but I don't know if I should go or not. Mo Qingqing spoke in a light voice. Do you want to go? Qin Wentian asked. No. Mo Qingqing shook her head. After that, she smiled. If I go to the immortal sect, I won't be able to see strange uncle anymore. If I don't want to, I won't go. Qin Wentian's gaze was gentle. Although he could easily follow Mo Qingqing no matter where she went, he still hoped that Mo Qingqing would follow her heart and grow up happily. But father, mother and the elders all want me to go. They have high hopes for me, and I can't bear to let them down. Mo Qingqing seemed to be in a difficult position. Follow your heart. No matter what decision you make, I will support you. The smile on Qin Wentian's face was as gentle as ever. Mo Qingqing's eyes flashed with a bright light as she stared at Qin Wentian. Thank you, strange uncle. During these years, only you understand me the best. There's still a question I've always wanted to ask you. What question? Mo Qingqing moved forward, her beautiful face almost touching Qin Wentian's. Her eyelashes were very beautiful, and her beautiful eyes scrutinized Qin Wentian. After which she giggled. Ever since I was young, my father and mother's cultivation bases have gotten higher, but they still aged a little. But why is it that strange uncle is still as handsome as before, never aging? After speaking, a strange smile appeared on her face, as though she had found out a little secret. Maybe I have a technique that allows me to maintain my youthful looks. I'm naturally not aging. Qin Wentian smiled. Seems like this lass knew that he wasn't an ordinary person. Is that so? In that case, let's see if strange uncle will still not age after a few more years. Mo Qingqing smiled as she turned and floated back to the back of her immortal crane. It's been 16 years. Qin Wentian stared at the departing Mo Qingqing as he sighed. These 16 years felt as long as tens of millions of years, but he still patiently waited, accompanying her. Every day when he saw Qingqing, he would feel at ease in his heart. This was what he owed her. It was rumored that in the future, she would naturally follow an immortal from the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms to cultivate. The Mo residence was incomparably glorious. However, it was unknown what methods Mo Qingqing used. She actually chose to stay in this small city. The immortal sect established a branch in this small city. Maybe because they discovered Mo Qingqing's shocking talent. They were willing to allow her to do whatever she wanted. After Qin Wentian learned of this, he was also very happy. This way he could satisfy Mo Qingqing's wishes. Mo Qingqing specially came here to tell him this piece of good news, and was extremely excited. In truth, Qin Wentian already knew about this long ago. But when he saw her happy, he was happy as well. Another 2 years passed. Mo Qingqing turned 18. Today was Mo Qingqing's 18th birthday. She didn't stay at home, and went to the small house where Qin Wentian was staying. Little rascal leaped into her embrace. This feeling was just like back then in Chu, causing him to reminisce about this feeling. Happy birthday. Qin Wentian smiled as he looked at Mo Qingqing. He would naturally remember her birthday. However, Mo Qingqing didn't seem to be happy today. She stared at Qin Wentian as her brows relaxed. Strange uncle, can you accompany me for a drink? Qin Wentian knew that she had something on her mind. He nodded. Mo Qingqing really took out a few jugs of wine and secretly glanced at the room beside her. Fairy sister won't blame me. She won't. Qin Wentian smiled and shook his head. Fairy sister was naturally referring to Qing. That's good. Mo Qingqing set her heart at ease. Mo Qingqing continued to drink. Qin Wentian also accompanied her. Little rascal also climbed up and poured himself a cup, draining it in a single gulp. Mo Qingqing couldn't help but giggle when she saw this scene. The wine was very strong. Not long after, Mo Qingqing's face turned red. She was only 18 years old, but she already looked like a celestial maiden. Her rosy cheeks added a different kind of charm to them, causing Qin Wentian to sigh silently. Qingqing had finally grown up. There were still 2 more years. Today is my 18th birthday, and also the most unhappy day in my 18 years. Father and mother actually want me to marry someone I don't like. Although he is very outstanding and is a supreme genius from the immortal sect, why should I marry him just because he proposed? I don't like him at all. Mo Qingqing gradually became a little tipsy. She spat out the truth after drinking. Qin Wentian wasn't agitated when he heard this. He was very quiet. He already knew of the Mo residence's movements. How could they hide it from him? Although he was a little angry, he wasn't worried. In this world, who would be able to snatch his woman? But father and mother are doing this for my own good. The elders in my clan all say that if I marry him, I would have a better future ahead of me. Also, he is so outstanding and can give me a bright future. There's no one more suitable than him. But I just don't like him. Mo Qingqing muttered to herself. She inclined her head and stared at Qin Wentian. Strange uncle, can you understand me? Qin Wentian nodded his head lightly. Mo Qingqing smiled happily when she saw him nodding his head. Strange uncle, you should be the person who understands me the most in this world. Qin Wentian seriously nodded his head. Indeed, in this world, there was no one who understood her better than him. Chapter 2045. Mo Qingqing drank a lot and spoke a lot. She trusted Qin Wentian so much. Maybe she herself didn't know that this was because of the fate of 2 lifetimes. In her previous life, this man before her was the person she loved the most. Even after they met again in the cycle of reincarnation, she still felt a sense of closeness to him. At this moment, Mo Qingqing inclined her head. Her face was flushed red as she stared at Qin Wentian and asked, Strange uncle, do you think I should marry him? If you don't want to, you naturally won't marry him. Qin Wentian replied. But my parents and the elders of my clan want me to marry him. In addition, they are doing this for my own good. The hope of my clan rests on me. Mo Qingqing spoke in a daze. You don't have to mistreat your heart because of your family. In this world, there's no one who can make you feel wronged. Qin Wentian seriously spoke. Mo Qingqing giggled foolishly when she saw how serious Qin Wentian was. She moved closer to Qin Wentian's handsome face. That beautiful face of hers was so close that it almost touched Qin Wentian's face. He could even clearly feel her breathing, as well as the faint fragrance of wine from her. But if I don't marry him, who should I marry? Are you going to marry me? Mo Qingqing giggled foolishly, as though she was talking nonsense after drinking. Staring at her pure and beautiful countenance, Qin Wentian was completely stunned. He couldn't calm down at all as he shouted in his heart, I'll marry you. However, he didn't say the words in his heart. There were still 2 more years. After 2 more years, Qingqing would regain her memories. This was the fate of reincarnation. She would bring her obsession into the cycle of reincarnation. He would continue to wait. Strange uncle, I'm just teasing you. Mo Qingqing smiled sweetly and returned to her original location. She drank another cup of wine and continued, However, strange uncle, you are truly the most handsome person I've ever seen. Also, you won't age at all. What geniuses from the immortal sex. You are still not as handsome as strange uncle. In the future, the person I'm going to marry will definitely be as handsome as strange uncle, doting on me as much as strange uncle. In addition, he will ride on a true dragon and a divine phoenix to descend from the heavens, spreading out a vast expanse of red for 10,000 miles. Qin Wentian silently sighed in his heart when he heard the nonsense of Mo Qingqing. Silly lass, this is the scene of me marrying you in Qing, or in my previous life. I definitely will. Qin Wentian nodded his head seriously, engraving Qingqing's words in his heart. Really? Mo Qingqing stared at Qin Wentian. Strange uncle, you are trying to make me happy again. No, it's true. In the future, the person you are going to marry will spread out a vast expanse of red for millions of miles, spreading out a vast expanse of red all the way to the upper world. Divine beasts will descend from the heavens, causing the 9 heavens to tremble, and all the gods and devils will come to offer their congratulations. Qin Wentian seriously spoke. Qin Wentian's words caused Mo Qingqing to start. After that, she giggled and pointed at Qin Wentian. Strange uncle, you are trying to make me happy again. How can there be such an awesome person? Qingqing. At this moment, a voice drifted over from outside, interrupting Mo Qingqing's words. Someone called out, Qingqing, your parents and elders are all waiting for you to celebrate your birthday. Why did you come out? As he spoke, a middle-aged man pushed open the door and entered. There were many people following behind him. Qin Wentian wasn't surprised. He naturally knew that this middle-aged man would come. Strange uncle, I'm going back now. The words you said might appear in my dreams. Mo Qingqing smiled foolishly at Qin Wentian. After that, she patted Little Rascal and spoke with some reluctance. Little Rascal, I'm leaving first. After speaking, she turned and walked out of the little house. After Mo Qingqing left, her second uncle didn't leave. His gaze landed on Qin Wentian, his eyes as cold as knives. I don't know what your purpose is during these years, and I don't care who you are. But now, Qingqing has already grown up and is a disciple of an immortal sect. She will marry a demon-level genius soon. You better not see her again in the future, lest you affect her reputation. He coldly stared at the extremely good-looking young man in front of him. He was also very curious about Qin Wentian. Why didn't he age? Qin Wentian clearly didn't exude any aura of cultivation, and seemed like an ordinary person. However, his demeanor was extraordinary. But no matter what, no matter who Qin Wentian was, he couldn't allow Qingqing to interact with him anymore. He was too handsome. There was no one around Qingqing who was more handsome than him. Also, Qingqing wouldn't age. Mo Qingqing was still young. She was still in her youth, the age where she would experience her first awakening of love. She mustn't be led astray. This was especially so now that Qingqing had joined an immortal sect. She might be able to head to the upper world soon, and take an immortal as her master. She would also marry a genius of the immortal sect. Geniuses were the descendants of immortals. How could he allow Qin Wentian to influence all of this? Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the man in front of him. Right now, there was actually someone who dared to speak to him like this. How ridiculous. However, he was after all Qingqing's second uncle. Given Qin Wentian's current temperament, he wouldn't argue with him over a single sentence. He only calmly spoke. You can leave. You better remember my words in your heart. Mo Qingqing's second uncle threatened and left the little room. Qin Wentian was still very calm as he watched him leave. After that, a smile appeared on his face. Qingqing had already reached the age of marriage. After accompanying him for 18 years, she had finally grown up. After Mo Qingqing left the little room that Qin Wentian was staying in, she rode on her immortal crane and left. Her face was still flushed red. The wind buffeted her body and unknowingly, her eyes actually started to turn moist. Strange uncle, I naturally don't want to marry him. Because I already have someone I like. Mo Qingqing shouted in her heart. I heard from the elders in my clan that from the day I was born, you have been guarding outside the Mo clan, and watched me being born. After that, for many years, you were there every day, watching me grow up and playing with me. You are always so patient. You don't mind my naughtiness. You aren't angry when I ride on you. The time you accompany me is even longer compared to my parents. The gaze you use when you look at me is always so gentle. I don't know why, but when I look at you, I always feel a sense of familiarity. It's like we already knew each other in our past lives. When I look at your eyes, I feel a sense of security. It's like no matter what happens, you will always be by my side, silently watching over me, protecting me. Now I've finally grown up. As for you, you haven't aged at all and are still as beautiful as ever. Do you know that the person I want to marry is none other than you? You said that in the future, the person who marries me would be able to pave millions of miles of red flags, connecting to the upper world. Countless divine beasts would descend, the 9 heavens would tremble, and even gods and devils would come to offer their congratulations. However, I don't want all of these. It's enough as long as the person who marries me is you. But how can I do this? Elder Sister Fairy is so beautiful and kind. You already have such a warm family. How can I destroy the relationship between you and Elder Sister Fairy? I can't do this. As she thought about this, Mo Qingqing's tears fell like rain. Her face was already covered in tears. Even her clothes were wet. The love of 2 lifetimes, who could understand it? Who knew Qingqing's heart? After arriving at the Mo residence, Mo Qingqing wiped her tears away and revealed a smile. She silently spoke in her heart. Strange uncle. You told me before that I have to live every day happily. I have to be strong. I can't think of you like this anymore. I will definitely make myself happy. I know that when you see me happy, you will also be happy. In the future, even if I'm unhappy, I will hide it in my heart and let you see my happy side. Only then would you be happy. When she thought of this, Mo Qingqing had a smile on her face as she entered the Mo residence. The Mo residence was celebrating her birthday. She told the Mo residence that she temporarily didn't wish to marry anyone. She would make her decision only when she was 20 years old. When this news circulated out, the people from the immortal sect wouldn't make things difficult for her. After all, given her talent, she would definitely become an immortal in the future. The people of the Mo residence really hoped that she would agree now and wouldn't force her. Not long after, news from the immortal sect circulated to the Mo residence. 2 years later, immortals from the upper world would personally descend to the mortal world and come to the Mo residence. They would accept Mo Qingqing as their personal disciple on her 20th birthday. In addition, the descendant of that immortal, a genius from the immortal sect, would also formally propose marriage on that day, preparing to marry Mo Qingqing. When this news circulated out, the entire Mo residence was filled with jubilation. An immortal from the upper world of Azure Mystic would personally descend to the mortal world and accept Mo Qingqing as his personal disciple. How glorious was this? The Mo clan of this small city would definitely soar up into the sky from now on. After the news circulated out, many major clans came to pay a visit to the Mo clan. These clans were many times stronger compared to the Mo clan, but they were all extremely respectful. This caused the vanity of the Mo clan to be greatly satisfied. To them, there was basically no suspense to the marriage proposal 2 years later. However, from then on, Mo Qingqing rarely left the clan. Most of the time, she was busy with cultivation. Only by having a strong cultivation base would she be able to control her own fate. This was applicable to any place in the 9 heavens continent. In fact, she also rarely went to visit the strange uncle. Naturally, Qin Wentian continued to silently watch her, as well as everything around her. Time flowed by day after day. The deadline of 2 years was getting closer and closer. Qin Wentian's state of heart was actually unable to calm down. Naturally, this wasn't because of the marriage proposal. To him, this was merely a minor matter that wasn't even worth mentioning. The reason why his state of heart was unable to calm down was naturally because Qingqing was finally going to return soon. On her 20th birthday, she would regain the memories of her past life. Strange uncle. There were still 7 days until Mo Qingqing's birthday. Today, Mo Qingqing came to the little house again. She stared at the handsome young man sitting in front of the door as she giggled. Strange uncle, you still haven't aged. You won't age either. Qin Wentian laughed. Strange uncle, you are lying to me again. Mo Qingqing mischievously glared at Qin Wentian. After that, she continued. Strange uncle, let me tell you something. 7 days later, an immortal from the upper world will descend to Azure Mystic, wanting to accept me as a disciple. Back then I told you that the immortal from the upper world wanted to propose marriage to me. I gradually discovered that he isn't that bad after all. His talent is top-notch, and he is handsome and suave. Qin Wentian didn't reply. He quietly stared at Mo Qingqing's eyes. Her gaze seemed to be evasive. Strange uncle, can you promise me one thing? Mo Qingqing asked. Speak. Qin Wentian nodded. On that day you have to come and visit me, okay? Mo Qingqing was a little nervous as she stared at Qin Wentian. Okay, I will definitely come. Qin Wentian seriously nodded. Mo Qingqing happily left, but Qin Wentian knew that after she turned and left, she wasn't as happy as before. Silly lass. Qin Wentian spoke in a light voice. How could Mo Qingqing's thoughts be hidden from him? Finally, there were only 7 days left. Qin Wentian stood up and inclined his head. His gaze pierced through the 9 heavens as his divine sense enveloped this boundless space. At this moment, in the God King Palace, countless people could sense this divine sense. They all knew whose divine sense this belonged to. There are still 7 days left. Make the arrangements. A voice rang out in the God King Palace, causing the hearts of countless people to tremble. After that, many people had smiles on their faces. 20 years. They had waited for a total of 20 years. Was it finally time? Chapter 2046. The small city gradually became more and more lively. Many people from the particle world came here to stay. Many came to offer their congratulations. There were also some who wanted to take a look at the immortals from the upper world. Even in this era, immortals were still extremely rare in particle worlds. They were lofty characters, and one could very well imagine the attraction of immortals from the immortal sects and immortals from Azure Mystic. The Mo residence was naturally the center of the liveliness. There was an endless stream of people visiting the Mo residence, and it was even livelier than the market. However, as the person in question, Mo Qingqing, no one saw her during these few days. According to the Mo residence, Mo Qingqing was currently in closed-door seclusion. Other than the Mo clan being extremely lively, there were also many people who came to Qin Wentian's little house during these few days. His parents, Qin Yuanfeng and Luoshan Qianxue, were all here, quietly arriving. His foster father Qin Chuan, as well as the family members of Mo Qingqing's previous life, also came. After that, they quietly stayed in this small city and didn't disturb the Mo residence. There were only a few days left. They were all willing to quietly wait for Mo Qingqing to awaken her memories. As for the so-called immortal accepting a disciple and proposing marriage, to them, it was nothing more than a trivial matter that wasn't worth taking to heart at all. The day of Mo Qingqing's 20th birthday finally arrived. Inside the small city, steeds were galloping on the ground, and flying demonic beasts were galloping in the sky. They were chatting cheerfully and wittily as they rushed towards the same direction. That was outside the Mo residence. Right now a tall platform had already been constructed there. In a radius of several hundred miles, there were many people who came here to congratulate and to spectate. Today the immortals from the upper world would descend. Everyone in the Mo residence stood on the platform to welcome the guests. They stared at the countless figures in the surroundings as smiles bloomed on their faces. There were people congratulating them unceasingly, and they clasped their hands in all directions in high spirits. At this moment, a group of figures floated down. Among these people, the males were handsome and carefree while the females were beautiful and dignified. All of them exuded an extraordinary aura, and were all disciples of the immortal sect in this particle world. They came to the platform and stared at the air, as though they were preparing to welcome someone. Celestial light descended from the sky. After that, everyone saw the celestial bird flying over. The aura of the celestial bird was astonishing. Even from afar, one could feel its might. He's here. The people of the Mo residence were all agitated. The immortal sect disciples all knelt on one knee and bowed as they shouted, "Welcome, exalted immortal. We respectfully welcome immortal." The people of the Mo residence bowed as well. Welcome, exalted immortal. All the onlookers within hundreds of miles bowed in unison to show their respect. This was an exalted immortal from the upper worlds. Rumor had it that the exalted immortal who came this time was someone with an extremely high status in the immortal sect. Many immortals obeyed him, and his status was very high. The Mo residence was going to soar into the heavens. All of this was because the Mo clan had given birth to a good daughter. A golden demon immortal descended and landed on the ground. Only then did everyone truly feel how terrifying this demon beast was. That was a golden condor. Its sharp eyes swept across everyone as if it was looking at ants. It was a demon immortal. The golden eagle's body was huge, and there were many people on its back. All of them stood there respectfully, guarding an immortal palanquin. These people all had extraordinary temperaments, and each of them was a lofty character. At this moment, the curtains of the immortal palanquin opened as two figures slowly walked out, moving towards the head of the golden condor. The people behind them all followed closely behind. This was a pair of husband and wife. The man was clad in luxurious embroidered robes, and had an immortal crown on his head. The woman was elegant and dignified, like a female empress. Her eyes flashed with disdain, staring down at everyone. In an instant, countless people in a radius of 100 miles held their breaths. In their eyes, there were only these two figures. These were immortals, lofty and lofty. If it wasn't for Mo Qingqing, it might be hard for them to meet such existences in their entire lives. Father, mother. A young man appeared. This young man was extraordinarily handsome, and had a smile on his face. He had an extraordinary background, and came to this particle world to temper himself. He met Mo Qingqing and wanted to take her as his wife. In fact, he even got his parents to personally come here from the upper world, giving the Mo residents enough face. Where is she? The young woman calmly asked, not showing too much respect to the Mo residents. Their arrival was already considered a favor to the Mo residents. Her immortal sense swept through this place. After all, this was still a particle world, so weak that it was pitifully small. It was rumored that this was the place where the Heaven Empyrean grew up. But ultimately, there was only a single Heaven Empyrean in this world. Quick, call Qingqing over. The people of the Mo clan were incomparably nervous. This was the first time they met such major characters, immortals from the upper world. A moment later, Mo Qingqing walked out. She was very calm when she saw the immortals from the upper world. Qingqing, quickly pay your respects to the immortals. Beside her, Mo Qingqing's second uncle urged. Not bad. At this moment, that young woman nodded her head lightly. Her gaze was filled with satisfaction when she looked at Mo Qingqing. Regardless of cultivation or looks, she was very satisfied. Mo Qingqing could be said to be worthy of her son. It's truly rare for the Mo residents to be able to produce such a descendant. The young man beside her also nodded in satisfaction. Seems like his son's judgment wasn't bad. Many thanks to the immortals. Mo Qingqing's second uncle respectfully spoke. At this moment, those immortals from the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms didn't get off the Golden Condor. However, no one dared to doubt their pride. This was something they should have. However, Mo Qingqing felt somewhat unhappy in her heart. Her beautiful eyes stared at the crowd as though she was searching for something. However, she didn't see the person she was looking for. Strange uncle, you promised me that you would come. Qingqing still wants to see you and speak a few words with you. Mo Qingqing didn't manage to find the person she was looking for. She felt a little sad in her heart. The young man's silhouette flashed and appeared not far away from Mo Qingqing. He then spoke. Qingqing, 2 years ago, you didn't agree to my request. Today, I asked my parents to come over from the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms. You should be able to see my sincerity, right? Mo Qingqing retracted her thoughts. Her beautiful eyes were as calm as ever as she stared at the young man. Mo Qingqing. At this moment, the beautiful middle-aged woman on the Golden Condor spoke. I heard that you joined the Immortal Sect 2 years ago and your talent is outstanding. Now that I've personally seen you, I'm extremely satisfied. In the future, you should work even harder to become an immortal and establish your immortal foundation as soon as possible. Also, my son is very fond of you and has mentioned this to me many times. This time around, us husband and wife came here to propose a marriage. In the future, when you marry into my clan, you have to serve your husband well and improve together with him, becoming an immortal couple. Her words were so natural and certain, as though she didn't even consider if Mo Qingqing would agree or not. From her point of view, this was a favor, an honor for Mo Qingqing. Mo Qingqing's gaze flickered. She was still searching the crowd. This caused the beautiful middle-aged woman on the golden condor to frown. The man beside her spoke. Mo Qingqing, are you willing? Qingqing. Mo Qingqing's second uncle spoke from behind. Mo Qingqing's eyes flashed with disappointment. She turned her gaze back and stared at the two silhouettes on the golden condor. However, her heart was still thinking about that good-looking young man. Would he really not come? The Mo residence is going to strike it rich. Countless gazes landed on Mo Qingqing, waiting for her to reply with the word yes. There was no need to doubt this. An immortal personally came down to the mortal world to propose a marriage. How glorious was this! Mo Qingqing's beautiful eyes were slightly moist. Everyone thought that she was moved when they saw this. Who knew what she was feeling right now? At this moment, a beam of light appeared in the sky. This beam of light was extremely bright, causing many people to incline their heads and stare at it. After that, a strange look appeared on their faces. Mo Qingqing also inclined her head. That beam of light was extremely bright. Red clouds appeared in the sky and continued to extend outwards. Very swiftly, the red clouds filled the sky and actually interweaved into strange shapes, transforming into the shapes of numerous saint beasts. In addition, they were all saint beasts. There were dragons, phoenixes, Shuangwu tortoises, kirans. How beautiful! Many people sighed in admiration. Such a phenomenon in the sky. Could it be that an immortal has descended? Beams of red light shot down from the sky, resembling a pathway leading to the heavens. It was simply incomparable. The people of the world had never seen such a miraculous scene before. At this moment, countless people in the particle world inclined their heads and stared at the sky. When Mo Qingqing saw this, her eyes grew even more moist. A phenomenon in the sky. The red clouds transformed into saint beasts. However, the person in the sky wasn't you. In that case, what was the meaning of all this? A phenomenon in the sky, an auspicious omen. Someone from the Mo residence spoke. Everyone in the Mo residence was incomparably happy. Today, an immortal descended to the Mo residence to propose a marriage. To think that there would actually be a phenomenon in the sky. It's indeed an auspicious omen. The two immortals also had smiles on their faces. Such a phenomenon was truly rare. It was unknown when, but a snow-white puppy ran out, sprinting towards Mo Qingqing. Mo Qingqing seemed to have sensed something. She stretched her hand out and caught it. Little Rascal leaped into her embrace as her beautiful eyes brightened. She rubbed Little Rascal's head. Little Rascal, why are you here? Where's the weird uncle? Yeah. Little Rascal pointed to a direction, only to see a figure quietly walking over from the crowd. This figure was clad in robes as white as snow and was extremely good-looking. His countenance was handsome, and he exuded an extraordinary aura. A smile could be seen on his face, and this smile was filled with warmth. His black eyes seemed to contain boundless emotions. 20 years, a total of 20 years. It felt as long as a few centuries. This day had finally arrived. 20 years ago he stood outside the Mo clan, waiting for Mo Qingqing to be born. The fate of Samsara had finally arrived. Weird uncle, you are here. Mo Qingqing smiled happily. She was truly happy. Her smile was so radiant that it caused the people of the Mo residence to frown. It also caused the young man not far away from her to frown. Similarly, the eyes of the immortal on the golden condor flashed with coldness. This what's going on? The beautiful middle-aged woman icily spoke. Her voice was extremely cold. Such a good-looking young man appeared. And Mo Qingqing had such a radiant smile on her face. She couldn't help but to connect the dots. However, among the crowd, there were also some old people who had lived for many years. Their cultivation bases weren't low, at the celestial phenomenon realm. Hence they had lived for many years. When they saw the white-robed figure, their bodies involuntarily trembled as their hearts pounded madly. Heavens, how can this be possible? This is him, this is him. They would never forget this figure. They would never forget that he had returned. Mo Qingcheng, Mo Qingcheng. No wonder this name sounded so familiar. They screamed in their hearts. At this moment, they finally recalled it. I'm here. Qin Wentian gently stared at Mo Qingcheng. Strange uncle, I have something I want to tell you. Mo Qingcheng spoke. Even if you don't say it, I already know. Qin Wentian replied. Mo Qingcheng's beautiful eyes blinked. So it turned out that strange uncle already knew. When she thought of this, she blushed. In that case, he came today? When she thought of this, Mo Qingcheng's heart pounded. Strange uncle, in that case, should I marry him or not? If you don't want to, there's naturally no need to marry him. Qin Wentian's reply was the same as 2 years ago. But if I don't marry him, who should I marry? Mo Qingcheng's beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wentian. I'll marry you. Qin Wentian's smile was incomparably radiant. When Mo Qingcheng heard this, her face blossomed with the most beautiful smile in the past 20 years. I'll marry you. In these 20 years, there had never been a sentence so moving. At this moment, she tossed aside all her worries and worries. For the sake of this sentence, she was willing to pay any price. Chapter 2047. Mo Qingcheng smiled sweetly. As she smiled, her beautiful eyes turned moist. She stared at the white-robed figure before her. You haven't asked me if I'm willing to marry you or not. In that case, are you willing? Qin Wentian laughed. Mo Qingcheng inclined her head, staring at the red clouds in the sky as she shouted, I'm willing. Her voice reverberated through the air. The two of them spoke as though there was no one else around, causing the entire area to be incomparably silent. No one dared to speak, in fact, they didn't even dare to breathe loudly. The expressions of the two immortals were extremely unsightly to behold. Senior, I'm sorry. I already have someone I like. So, I have to thank Senior for your kind intentions. Mo Qingcheng's beautiful eyes stared at the two immortals. She was already prepared to bear all the consequences. Do you know who the person you rejected is? That beautiful middle-aged woman coldly spoke, causing the atmosphere to be stifled. Qingcheng, have you gone mad? Only now did the people of the Mo residence react. They all rushed forward. The second uncle of the Mo clan glared at Qin Wentian as he roared in rage. You are courting death. Qin Wentian turned his gaze over, staring at Mo Qingcheng's second uncle. His expression was calm as he calmly spoke. I don't want to hurt you. So you just have to quietly watch from the side. You. Mo Qingcheng's second uncle pointed at Qin Wentian as he roared in rage. You madman, you harmed my Mo residents. 20 years ago, you waited outside the Mo clan for Qingcheng to be born. Could it be that you were waiting for today? Isn't this too ridiculous and despicable? I told you to watch. Qin Wentian seriously spoke, turning his gaze over. At this instant, Mo Qingcheng's second uncle only felt his soul trembling as his entire body was drenched in sweat. He couldn't help but to stare fixedly at Qin Wentian. As expected, he wasn't an ordinary person. No wonder he didn't age. I don't care who you are. Scram for me now. I won't kill you. At this moment, the young man who proposed marriage to Mo Qingcheng had a sinister look on his face as he stared at Qin Wentian. It was like Qin Wentian was doing him a favor. His parents personally came to this particle world to propose marriage, but they were actually smacked in the face by someone else. Qin Wentian glanced at him indifferently before shifting his gaze away. The young man felt as if Qin Wentian had completely ignored his existence. It was as if he did not exist in Qin Wentian's eyes at all. Moreover, this white-robed figure was indeed very handsome. A hint of ruthlessness flashed in the young man's eyes. Kill him. The young man's expression was ferocious. He turned around and gave an order to his parents' mount, the golden eagle. The golden eagle let out a sharp screech, raised its claws, and took a step forward. It was unknown when little rascal had leaped down from Mo Qingcheng's back. His body suddenly changed. His entire body shone with a golden light as his body grew larger and larger. Very swiftly, He was even larger than the golden eagle. A supreme king's aura gushed forth from him. That gaze, as well as that formless pressure, caused the hearts of everyone to pound wildly. The body of the golden eagle trembled unceasingly. Its sharp claws had no way to support its body. With a thud, it directly prostrated on the ground. Not only for this golden eagle, to everyone's astonishment, all the other beasts in the surroundings actually fell to the ground. Gradually, all of them prostrated themselves on the ground. Their bodies trembled as they prostrated themselves in the direction of Little Rascal, as though they were worshipping their king. What's going on? The eyes of everyone involuntarily narrowed when they saw this abnormal scene. They stared at Little Rascal, who was like the king of all beasts. That snow-white puppy actually caused a demon immortal to prostrate on the ground as his body trembled uncontrollably. I told you to kill him. Trash. The young man roared in rage when he saw the golden eagle actually kneeling to the other party's demonic beast. His parents narrowed their eyes as their immortal senses swept through that terrifying demonic beast. They could faintly sense that something was wrong. This demonic beast only exuded a trace of its aura. Yet it was already so terrifying, causing all the other demonic beasts to prostrate on the ground. Little Rascal. Mo Ching stared at this scene in disbelief. This little fellow whom she had always carried in her arms since he was young was actually a greater demon? The people of the Mo clan were also stunned. Their eyes turned over and landed on Qin Wentian. The second uncle of the Mo clan coldly spoke. As expected, you have long since planned this. We heard that you came from the Chilean immortal sect of the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms. Sir, who are you? The two immortals stared at Qin Wentian as they asked. However, Qin Wentian didn't even glance at them. His gaze was still on Mo Qingqing as he smiled. Qingqing, do you still remember 2 years ago when you told me that the person you want to marry would ride on true dragons and divine phoenixes to descend, spreading out a vast expanse of red, causing the heavens to tremble? I said that the person who marries you in the future would spread out a vast expanse of red, causing the heavens to tremble, causing the heavens to tremble. I said that in the future, the person who marries you would spread out a vast expanse of red, causing the heavens to tremble, causing the heavens to tremble. Mo Qingqing's beautiful eyes flashed with a bright light as she stared at Qin Wentian. She naturally remembered it, but wasn't this just a beautiful dream? As long as the person who marries me is the strange uncle, everything else doesn't matter. Mo Qingqing's tears flowed as she gently smiled. But since I've promised you something, I naturally have to do it. Qin Wentian's gaze was incomparably gentle. The hearts of the people in the surroundings trembled. Has this fellow gone mad? Spreading out a vast expanse of red, leading to all divine beasts descending? Causing the 9 heavenly layers to tremble, leading to all divine beasts descending? Who in this world would be able to do this? Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the sky. He then calmly spoke, split the heavens. With just a single glance, the entire sky trembled. A beam of divine light directly broke apart the dome of the heavens, as boundless multicolored light descended from the heavens. From the location Qin Wentian was at, numerous beams of divine light shot towards different directions. Everywhere the divine light passed by, everyone discovered to their shock that they could actually see the scenes of the places where the divine light passed by. There were numerous majestic cities, extremely powerful sects and powers, as well as towering floating palaces. Was this the world outside the heavens? 33 beams of light shot towards the 33 immortal realms. At this moment, countless people in the 33 immortal realms inclined their heads and stared at the divine light, spreading out a vast expanse of red all the way to the upper world. In the airspace of this particle world, thunderous roars could be heard. After that, a 5-clawed golden dragon soared through the clouds. A phoenix controlled divine flames. A Kirin soared through the air. A sunbird let out a long cry. Numerous divine beasts descended from the immortal realms. It was unknown how many divine beasts had appeared in the airspace of this particle world. The people of the particle world stared at the sky as their bodies trembled. Heavens, what is going on? The numerous demonic beasts swooped down, arriving in the airspace above the Mo residence. Those experts from the immortal sect all felt their bodies trembling. The hearts of the two immortal immortals were also pounding violently. Miracle, is this a miracle? Many people knelt on the ground and worshipped the divine beasts, feeling incomparably emotional. However, even more people turned their gazes to Qin Wentian, splitting the heavens apart with a single glance, spreading out a vast expanse of red, leading to the descent of the divine beasts. He really did it. Mo Qingqing stared at this scene in disbelief. Her beautiful eyes were moist. Was this a dream? In the sky, numerous figures suddenly appeared. Each of them exuded an unfathomable aura. They were like gods of the heavens, lofty and lofty existences. There were also terrifying devilish characters, like gods and devils from the various heavens. Not only so, in the projection of the 33 immortal realms, many people turned their gazes over. It was like they could see the particle world. Right now, their expressions were incomparably solemn as they stared at the scene where Qin Wentian was. They naturally knew who this person was. This was the god that everyone believed in. The two immortal immortals felt their hearts trembling. Even their legs were trembling. Let alone them, even if the strongest experts from their immortal sex were here, they would only be able to kneel. In the air, each and every figure that appeared were existences that they couldn't touch. In that case, who was this white-robed young man? Who is he? Countless people in the surroundings were asking in their hearts. The people of the Mo residence were asking as well. At this moment, everything felt too surreal. The demon god mountain leads the saint beasts of the supreme ancient desolate region to congratulate the ancient godly monarch. We pay our respects to the ancient godly monarch. All the demons lowered their heads. Regardless of god beasts or demonic beasts, at this moment, all of them were incomparably respectful. The person standing before them was the ancient godly monarch. It was said that it was extremely difficult for the demon sovereigns to meet with him. Being able to come here to congratulate the ancient godly monarch was a supreme honor. Congratulations to the ancient godly monarch. Congratulations to the heavenly deity. In the air, the deities bowed as though they were on a pilgrimage. The supreme ancient godly king palace congratulates the ancient godly monarch. Outside the sky, at the location where the 33 beams of light were, a beam of light descended onto the ancient godly king palace. Within the ancient godly king palace, countless people bowed. The Azure Mystic Heaven Empyrean Palace congratulates the ancient godly king. A beam of light landed on the Heaven Empyrean Palace of the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms. Within the Heaven Empyrean Palace, the people of the various branches bowed. The Chao clan of the Scarlet Sun Immortal Realms congratulates the ancient godly king. In another scene, many people from the Chao clan were kneeling on one knee. The Divine King Palace and Qingxian, Celestial Emperor Palace, were direct subordinates of the Divine King. They were different and needed to be more pious and respectful. The Donghuang clan of the Eastern Royal Heaven congratulates the ancient Time King. The other scene was that of a woman. The person in the lead was none other than Donghuang Ying. She led the reorganized members of the Donghuang clan to pay their respects. Who knew what she was feeling in her heart? Numerous voices rang out in the 33 immortal realms. At this moment, the entire particle world was filled with people prostrating themselves in worship. In the 33 immortal realms, everyone was overjoyed when they learned about the ancient godly monarch. All of them stared up at the divine light in the sky and offered their congratulations from the bottom of their hearts. The ancient godly monarch had saved countless lives in the War of Deities. With a thud, the two exalted immortals dropped to their knees and prostrated themselves on the ground. They buried their heads in the ground as their bodies trembled. At this moment, how could they not know who the young man before them was? In the entire world, there was only one person who could make everyone in the 33 immortal realms worship him. Heaven and earth, the legend of Qingxian, the existence of faith. He unified Qingxian and was crowned the heavenly emperor, worshipped by the world. He had another title, the primordial god king. He was unparalleled in the 9 heavens star river and the 33 immortal realms. He was a supreme god, the legendary ancient godly monarch. But today they actually met him. Not only did they meet him, they actually wanted to snatch someone away from him. At this moment, they prostrated themselves on the ground not only because of fear, but also because of shock and agitation in their hearts. The ancient godly monarch was right before their eyes. In the azure mystic immortal realms, who didn't want to see the heaven Empyrean Qin Wentian's people? Sir, you have returned. Some of the old people in the particle world also trembled as tears flowed down their old faces. They slowly knelt down, feeling a boundless reverence from the bottom of their hearts. Once, it was him who saved their particle world. He was the god of this world, and now, he has returned. They had never thought that they would be able to see him so closely. Right now, he wasn't just the god of their particle world. He was also the god of all the heavenly immortal realms, the ancient godly monarch. Chapter 2048. The people of the world paid their respects. The divine beasts of the various heavenly immortal realms paid their respects. Even the gods and devils came to congratulate him. When the young man saw this, he slumped to the ground, unable to muster any strength. Why was this so ridiculous? Such a thing actually happened to him. He fell in love with the woman the ancient godly monarch liked. Should he feel honored? Earlier, he said that he wanted to kill the ancient godly monarch. Right now, when he saw the 33 immortal realms trembling, how laughable was his words. Most probably, no one would care about a minor character like him now. No wonder the ancient godly monarch didn't even bother to look at him. Was he even qualified to snatch the ancient godly monarch's woman? Qin Wentian truly didn't care about him. Although he had feelings for Mo Qingcheng, this only meant that his judgment wasn't bad. Given Qin Wentian's current status, he wouldn't go so far as to kill such a minor character. Hence, he directly ignored him. He didn't have the time to care about the ancient godly monarch and the Chilean immortal sect. However, he didn't know that because of this matter, the Chilean immortal sect was disbanded. In the azure mystic immortal realms, there was someone who insulted the heaven Empyrean. Even if Qin Wentian didn't care about it, would he still be able to exist peacefully like before? The people of the Mo residence felt their hearts in a mess. Mo Qingqing's second uncle was so frightened that he fell to the ground. His entire person was in a daze. Wasn't this a little too crazy? God King, a person who has been waiting outside the Mo clan for a total of 20 years. When Qingqing was born, he was already standing outside the Mo clan in a daze. Yet he was actually the king of the heavens. Isn't this ridiculous? Even he himself started laughing. It was unknown if he was mocking himself or mocking fate for playing tricks on people. The ancient godly monarch fell in love with his niece, Mo Qingcheng. But right now he couldn't feel any happiness because he had chased Qin Wentian away and threatened him many times. Originally, he could have ascended to the heavens with a single step. But now he could only struggle in hell. Mo Qingqing's beautiful face was already wet with tears. She stared at Qin Wentian, at the congratulations from the various immortal realms. Wasn't this the scene that Qin Wentian once spoke of? Millions upon millions of layers of red. Divine beasts descending from the heavens. The world trembled. Gods and devils came to congratulate him. Why are you so emotional? Mo Qingqing laughed and cried at the same time. Because I promised you, Qin Wentian said gently. But why is my strange uncle a god king? If that's the case, I'm afraid that all of this is fake. Although Mo Qingqing was moved, she wasn't a fool. From the moment she was born, the person who waited for her outside the Mo residence, the person who watched her grow up, was the God King. What did this mean? It meant that from the moment she was born, Qin Wentian had already been waiting for her. He didn't fall in love with her after that. Silly girl. Qin Wentian stared at Mo Qingcheng, his gaze filled with gentleness and doting love. Because you were my wife in my past life. I've already waited for you to enter the cycle of reincarnation. Now you are finally coming back. Previous life? Mo Qingqing murmured. She didn't feel shocked at all. In fact, she even believed it because she had a feeling that she and the strange uncle were acquainted with each other in their past lives. It turned out that she was the strange uncle's wife in her previous life. In that case, strange uncle must have loved me very much in my past life. Mo Qingqing smiled sweetly. She was truly very happy. So it wasn't just for this life. In her past life, the strange uncle had already loved her and waited for her for an entire life, watching her grow up. Naturally, Qin Wentian spoke. In the surrounding space, numerous figures silently walked out. Each of them, regardless of gender, all exuded magnificence that was rarely seen in the world. Given their demeanor, even if they didn't release any aura, people could still sense what sort of existence they were. Among them there was Qin Wentian's father, Qin Yuanfeng, his mother, Luoshan Qianxue, Qin Wentian's younger sister, Qin Kersen, as well as people from the Mo clan. Qin Wentian's foster father Qin Chuan, his junior apprentice brother Jun Mingchen, the Southern Phoenix matriarch Nanfeng Yaoyue, Namhuang Yunxi by Qing. All of them were here. When they saw the scene of Qin Wentian and Mo Qingqing falling in love again, radiant smiles appeared on their faces as they silently blessed them. Who would be able to understand the feelings of 2 lifetimes? Everything was finally going to be consummated. The woman who once swore to enter the cycle of reincarnation was finally going to return. Mo Qingqing stared at these figures as her heart trembled. She felt a sense of déjà vu with each of them. Although she had never met them before, the feeling was still extremely strong. Her mind was in a mess and she involuntarily closed her eyes. Qin Wentian drew in a deep breath. It was like he had foreseen something. His smile grew even more radiant as he spoke. Qingqing, come back. A mysterious glow radiated from Mo Qingqing, causing her beauty to seem even more divine. Her eyelashes fluttered. After that, her beautiful eyes slowly opened. When she stared at Qin Wentian again, the emotions contained in her beautiful eyes grew even deeper. These were the emotions of 2 lifetimes. She smiled and cried. She walked forward step by step, wiping away the tears in her eyes. Everything was so beautiful. Qin Wentian also lifted his feet and walked towards her. Finally, the 2 of them were inches apart. Qin Wentian stretched out his hand and helped Mo Qingqing wipe away the tears in her eyes. Silly lass, in the future, I won't make you cry again. Strange uncle, which Qingqing are you saying this to? Mo Qingqing's beautiful eyes flashed with a mischievous light. Seeing the mischievous glint in her eyes, Qin Wentian abruptly stretched out his hands and pulled her into his embrace. Before Mo Qingqing could react, he had already kissed her. Mo Qingqing's body trembled. After that, her body seemed to melt. Time seemed to stop at this moment, as though it was going to last for eternity. For some unknown reason, when the countless lives in the immortal realm saw this scene, many emotional people involuntarily shed tears. This was especially so for the people of the supreme ancient immortal realms. They had personally witnessed the deity-level battle, and personally saw Mo Qingqing making a heavy oath to enter samsara. Now they could personally witness her return. They were truly very happy. They were witnessing the love of the ancient godly monarch, the love of 2 lifetimes. Little Qingqing, in this lifetime, I will arrange another wedding for you. Qin Wentian laughed softly in Mo Qingqing's ears. Mo Qingqing pinched his waist and spoke in a light voice. Elder sister Qing, elder sister Yuhuang, elder sister Qianyu as well. Right. Qin Wentian nodded. As you wish. Go and visit your family. They all miss you. Qin Wentian spoke in a light voice. Mo Qingqing nodded and walked towards her family. Qin Wentian turned his gaze to the people in the immortal realms as he spoke. This particle world is the place where I grew up, my hometown. I will create a teleportation array in the 33 immortal realms to connect to this world. For all heavenly deities and world overlords, if they are willing to enter this particle world to cultivate and guide the people of the world, I will specially allow them to enter the ancient pathway to the heaven vault to cultivate in the starry space. I will send people to guard this world, and the number of years they spend guiding the people here is equivalent to the number of years they can cultivate in the heaven vault. His voice directly rang through the 9 heavens, echoing throughout the immortal realms. As the sound of his voice rang out, countless world overlords went into a frenzy. Even if they didn't have the chance to join the God King Palace, they would still be able to obtain the qualifications to enter the heaven vault to cultivate. Qin Wentian's words were equivalent to opening a door for all heavenly deities and world overlords. All of them would obtain the opportunity to enter the heaven vault for cultivation. As for guiding the people of the world in this particle world, This was nothing much to them given how long their lives were. They all understood that the God King did this because he wanted to open a path to the heaven vault for everyone in the world. At the same time, he wanted to use this chance to do something for his hometown. With so many heavenly deities and world overlords here, one could very well imagine how prosperous this particle world would be in the future. In addition, I will return to the God King Palace to hold a wedding. The people of the various immortal realms will be able to see everything that happens here. Also, for those who came here to celebrate, they can enjoy the immortal banquet. At the same time, I will order a heavenly deity to lecture on the Tao. For those who came here to offer their congratulations, they can all listen. Qin Wentian spoke again, his words causing countless people to go into a frenzy. This was especially so for the people of the heaven region. They were the closest to the God King Palace, and would be able to rush over. As for those who were further away, they felt extremely depressed. They missed this opportunity again. But even so, they would still be able to give their blessings. Also, all of them would be able to witness the grandest wedding under the 9 heavens. The grand wedding of the God King. Everyone in the world would be able to attend and offer their congratulations. After speaking, Mo Qingqing returned to Qin Wentian's side. She spoke in a light voice. Wentian, I want to ask my parents in this life if they are willing to head to the supreme ancient immortal realms. Qin Wentian nodded. Also your family members. If they are willing, they can all go. Also if they wish to return, they can do so at any time. In this life they had raised Qingqing. Mo Qingqing nodded. Many people in the Mo clan were naturally willing to accompany her to the God King Palace. That was the God King Palace, and Mo Qingqing would be married to the God King. However, Mo Qingqing didn't invite many people. Only those close to her who treated her well. For example, her second uncle, she didn't invite him. Most of the time, her second uncle wanted to borrow her power to benefit his clan and himself. He didn't truly dote on her, and had even threatened to banish Qin Wentian several times. After doing all this, Qin Wentian brought the people from the supreme ancient immortal realms away. The various gods and devils vanished, the divine beasts left, the red glow in the sky vanished as well. It was like a dream. Staring at their departing figures, many people in this particle world were still kneeling on the ground. Before Qin Wentian left, he still didn't forget his hometown. In the future, there would be heavenly deities and world overlords who would descend to this world. Although no one knew what cultivation realm they would be at, they would definitely be above immortal emperors. The 2 immortals from the immortal sect were still kneeling there. The young man was limp on the ground. When Qin Wentian left, he didn't even glance at them. Mo Qingqing's second uncle stared at the many people from the Mo clan who left together with him. He inclined his head up and sighed. Fate truly made fools of people. For the sake of the marriage between Qingqing and the immortal sect, he did the most things and was the most proactive. But in the end, he was the most sorrowful person. Chapter 2049. In the God King Palace, in the grand wedding ceremony of the God King Qin Wentian, it was unknown how many banquets were held. The scene here could be seen by everyone in the 33 immortal realms. Everyone sent their blessings. This was the grandest wedding in the history of the world. For this wedding, all the major powers of the God King Palace came to help. Even heavenly deities were doing odd jobs. In the entire world, when has there ever been something like this before? The 4 brides of the God King were all very beautiful, and each of them had their own unique beauty. Among the 4, Princess Kitamura was the shyest. She accompanied her for many years and waited for so many years. Now her wish was finally fulfilled. Qin Wentian held a grand wedding ceremony to marry her. Her aura was cold, but at this moment, she exuded a sense of gentleness and beauty, incomparably holy. Qin Wentian stood together with his 4 wives, appearing so compatible. Only the God King would be able to match up to such outstanding women at the same time. The elders of Qingqing's second life were all sitting on the viewing platform, waiting for their toasts. The family members of Qingqing's second life weren't used to this, and were very reserved. They initially wanted Qingqing to marry into an immortal sect, But who would have thought that she would marry the God King? An unparalleled existence in the world? The people sitting beside them were all major characters. As for those odd jobs, they were all lofty existences. The happiest ones were naturally Qin Yuanfeng and Luoshan Qianxue, as well as Qin Tiangang and the others. This was the first time they truly participated in Qin Wentian's wedding. These were their son and daughter-in-law. Qin Wentian married 4 wives and held such a grand wedding ceremony. A major reason was because his parents had never truly witnessed such a happy moment before. Now everything could finally be made up for. Qin Chuan, Yi Qingyun and the people of the Mo residence had experienced it before. Now that they experienced it again, they still felt extremely happy. The happiest one was the Dark North Immortal Emperor. His wish was finally fulfilled, and he became Qin Wentian's true father-in-law. This time around he could finally hold his head high in front of Chongqing the Great. He even winked at Chongqing the Great, causing Chongqing the Great to laugh uproariously. This old fellow. This time, all the elders were present. It could be considered a real reunion. When these elders sat on the ceremonial platform, there was even a small interlude. 2 old men fought for a seat closer to the middle, like 2 old fellows who did not respect their elders. I'm the teacher of Wentian and Yu Huang. Their current achievements are all because of me. You want to snatch them from me? Humph. It was rare for the crazy old freak to have a mischievous side to him. Naturally, this was just a joke between the 2 of them. Why can't I do that? Without me, would Qin Wentian have what he has today? I'm half a master to him, and have guided him for many years. Now, although both of them have transformed into one, without me, would he have any achievements today? Another old fellow was so angry that he was blowing his beard. How ridiculous! Is your cultivation stronger than mine? The words of the Grim Reaper nearly angered the other party to death. He was completely speechless. What kind of person was he? To actually compete in cultivation? This was too much of a bully. Seeing the other party's expression, the Grim Reaper laughed. All right, since you're half a master to Qin Wentian, let's sit here together. That's more like it. The other old fellow nodded in satisfaction. After that, he glanced at the scene before him as a smile appeared on his face. Behind him, there was a cold-looking young man. Do you see that? My judgment is still the best. A God King of the supreme ancient immortal realms is unrivaled. When would you be able to have half of his achievements? I would already be satisfied. The old fellow spoke. The young man behind him had a dark expression on his face. He was instantly speechless. What was half of Qin Wentian's achievements? He should at least be at the God King realm, right? Old man, you were bullied and you want to vent your anger on me? This is too much of a bully. No matter what, I've been with you longer than Di Tian. But now, Sai Qin Wentian brought his 4 maidens and went up to serve tea. The entire family was joyous and harmonious. Such an unprecedentedly grand wedding was witnessed by all 33 immortal realms. However, it was strangely calm. Other than the fact that there were more people, there wasn't anything special about it. It was simple and unpretentious, but everyone in the world could feel a sense of warmth. However, such a heartwarming scene caused some people to tear up. Among those who were crying, there were a few females among them. They were all in different locations in the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms. Once they were very close to him, but now, when they saw him ascending to the peak, marrying his true love, all 33 immortal realms were bearing witness to this. They could only watch quietly from afar, silently sending their blessings to Qin Wentian. In the supreme ancient immortal realms, there were also countless people watching. This was especially so for the places where Qin Wentian stayed before. For example, the Qingqing realm. Qingqing was their god of faith, their god. The 2 words Qingqing in the Qingqing realm was named after Qing, and Qingqing. Right now, all of them were here to witness this scene. It was said that for the grand wedding of the ancient godly monarch, the banquet in the God King Palace would last for 3 months. At that time, there would be heavenly deities giving Tao lectures, bringing good fortune to those who went there to offer their congratulations. Because those with stronger cultivation bases in the supreme ancient immortal realms would all disregard everything and head there. As for those in the heaven region, They were all doing their best to rush towards the God King Palace. Among the many people rushing over, there was a group of people. Their cultivation bases weren't very high. The vast majority of them were at the immortal realm. There was only a world overlord among them who seemed to be covered in dust, like they had been rushing all this time. The God King Palace is about to arrive. At this moment, a young man with handsome features stared at a majestic palace that towered into the clouds. His eyes were a little wet. Finally, were they about to arrive? Elder sis, little he, we will arrive soon. The young man was clearly happy but also a little nervous. We will arrive soon. His elder sister was very beautiful, exuding a pure sense of beauty. She then asked, but does big brother Qin still remember us? Master should remember us, right? He treated us so well. It's fine even if Master doesn't remember us. At the very least, we would be able to see him once more. After that, one of our wishes would be fulfilled. The young man laughed. Big brother Qin is so kind. He definitely wouldn't forget us. The young woman seriously nodded her head. She thought back to the scenes when she met Qin Wentian in the small city. Although she knew that Qin Wentian accepted her younger brother as a disciple for a reason, it was because he wanted to protect her younger brother. We spent all our savings before we could use the teleportation array to arrive here. Qin Feng, if you are lying, I won't spare you. At that time, don't try to find some excuse that the ancient godly monarch doesn't remember you. At the side, a young man had a cold expression as he spoke to Qin Feng. Elder brother, Qin Feng wouldn't lie to me. The young woman named Little He held onto Qin Feng's hand as she gently spoke. The human heart is unfathomable. Who knows if he has his eyes on the strength of our clan or not? Being able to reach here, isn't it all because of the foundation of our clan? According to him, the little bit of savings he has on him has already been depleted when he came here from Azure Mystic. The young man cold spoke. He came from a major clan in the supreme ancient immortal realms. He had always been against Qin Feng and his younger sister getting along. Even his clan members were against it. If it wasn't for the fact that Qin Feng said that he knew the person who was conferred the title of Ancient Godly Monarch during the deity-level war 20 years ago, and that person was the master he had been searching for, why would they waste their time on Qin Feng? Elder brother. Little He angrily glared at her elder brother. She tightened her grip on Qin Feng's hand. Qin Feng, don't mind her. I won't. Qin Feng smiled and shook his head. It's fine even if the ancient godly monarch doesn't know you guys. At that time, we can find an excuse to elope. I will follow you to the ends of the world. Little He transmitted her voice to Qin Feng. Qin Feng tightened his grip on her hand. Right now, he really hoped that his master would still remember him. It wasn't for himself, but for Little He. He didn't want Little He to elope with him and flee for her life. In truth, he didn't come here because Qin Wentian was a god king. Very long ago, he knew that Qin Wentian was the Heaven Empyrean of Azure Mystic, and started to search for him. He went to the Heaven Empyrean Palace, but at that time, Qin Wentian's family and friends were all taken away. For those who stayed behind, he couldn't even meet with Qin Wentian. How could he introduce him to Qin Wentian? He could only borrow the power of the grand formation of Azure Mystic, and come to the supreme ancient immortal realms to investigate the whereabouts of his master. He only wanted to meet with his master. But after he came to the supreme ancient immortal realms, he got to know Little He and had a woman he loved. He also hoped that his master would recognize him. He knew that his thoughts were a little selfish. Let's go. Qin Feng spoke in a light voice as he continued on his way. Finally, they arrived outside the God King Palace, and saw the majestic buildings there. The God King invited everyone to the God King Palace to enjoy the banquet. Qin Feng and the others were all very agitated, but also very nervous. Even that arrogant brother-in-law of his was also very nervous. This place was the God King Palace. After they were arranged to sit down, Qin Feng's brother-in-law shot a glance at him. Qin Feng called out to a beautiful maiden who was busy shuttling through the crowd and asked, "Fairy, is something the matter?" This fairy came from the Namhuang clan, and was extremely beautiful. She had a bit of the elegance of the holy maiden Namhuang Yinshi back then. "Fairy, can I meet with the God King?" Qin Feng nervously asked. The Southern Phoenix Fairy smiled. It's unknown how many people here wish to meet with the God King every day. Qin Feng's expression dimmed. That's right, it was unknown how many people wished to meet with his master every day. He is the disciple of the God King. Back then we were separated and now he is here to look for the God King. Qin Feng's brother-in-law spoke. The Southern Phoenix Fairy's beautiful eyes flashed as she spoke in a light voice. I heard that the God King only has 2 female disciples, Jian and Jiran. They are currently in the God King Palace. Are there any other disciples? As she spoke, her gaze landed on Qin Feng. Qin Feng stared at her beautiful eyes and seriously nodded. However, he was a little unconfident as he replied. That's something that happened a long time ago. In that case, I will help you ask Goddess Xingge. The Southern Phoenix Fairy smiled and left this place. For such a matter, no one should dare to lie. Hence, she still had to pay attention to this matter. Who would dare to pretend to be a disciple of the God King in the God King Palace? Qin Feng grew even more nervous. Not long after, a beautiful goddess descended. She was like a goddess from the 9 heavens, incomparably pure and holy, like someone from a painting. Nanfeng Xingge was originally already as beautiful as a painting. Now that she was a heavenly deity, one could very well imagine her aura. This caused everyone to be in a daze as they stood up, trembling in fear. Nanfeng Xingge had a smile on her face. She stared at Qin Feng. You are Big Brother Qin's disciple? Since she could refer to herself as Big Brother Qin, one could very well imagine the identity of this female. This caused everyone to feel even more nervous. Qin Feng nodded. Nanfeng Xingge nodded as well. After that, she sent a divine sense into the God King Palace and an instant later, a divine sense appeared. The divine sense smiled. Qin Feng, little last Qin, quickly come in. Upon hearing this familiar voice, Qin Feng's body trembled violently. He was incomparably moved in his heart. As for Qin, tears involuntarily flowed from her eyes. Chapter 2050. Qin Feng and Qin trembled as they stood up. Nanfeng Xingge personally led the way, entering the God King Palace. Qin Feng pointed to Xiaohe. This is my girlfriend Xiaohe. Okay, bring her along. Nanfeng Xingge smiled. Xiaohe also stood up in agitation. What Qin Feng said was true. The ancient monarch was his master. The others also wanted to follow, but they were stopped by the Southern Phoenix Fairy. They could only give up. In the inner hall of the God King Palace, Qin Wentian stared at them as a smile appeared on his face. Little fellow, your cultivation base is already at the immortal realm. Little last Qin, you are getting more and more beautiful. The 2 of them trembled lightly. When they really saw Qin Wentian, they were so nervous that they didn't know what to say. God King. Qin didn't know how to address him. Qin Wentian glared at her. What God King? Just call me Big Brother Qin. Qin Feng, it has been many years since we last met. Why didn't you greet your master? Disciple pays my respects to master. Only then did Qin Feng walk out. He knelt on the ground and performed the greeting of acknowledging a master. However, there was a formless energy supporting his body, allowing him to stand up. Everything is still the same as before. If you guys are acting like this, I will treat it as though I don't know you too. Qin Wentian criticized. The blue seas turned into mulberry fields. Right now, his status caused the people close to him to be so nervous. He didn't like this. Most probably, only those who had always been by his side would be able to be as calm as before. Big Brother Qin. Qin nodded, feeling incomparably happy in her heart. Big Brother Qin was still the same as before, so gentle and approachable. Her beautiful eyes were a little wet as she stared at Qin Wentian. Thank you, Big Brother Qin. Silly lass. Qin Wentian walked up and rubbed Qin's head. This lass was extremely kind back then, willing to sacrifice herself for her younger brother. You are called Xiaohe? Qin Wentian glanced at Xiaohe who was beside Qin Feng. Xiaohe nodded heavily as she secretly surveyed this unparalleled character in the supreme ancient immortal realms. In the future, just follow Qin and call me Big Brother Qin. Don't worry, although Qin Feng is my disciple, I won't allow him to bully you. If he dares to bully you, just come and complain to me. Qin Wentian laughed. Xiaohe smiled and nodded after hearing that. She even glanced at Qin Feng as though she was trying to show off. Qin Feng scratched his head. It's your elder brother outside, right? How's his character? Qin Wentian calmly asked. Xiaohe's beautiful eyes flashed as she stared at Qin Wentian. Big brother Qin, my elder brother, has some power. If it wasn't for the fact that Qin Feng is big brother Qin's disciple, I'm afraid he would have already separated us. What about you? If I wasn't Qin Feng's master, would I still be together with him? Qin Wentian asked with a smile, causing Xiaohe's body to tremble. Although she addressed Qin Wentian as big brother Qin, his casual words still caused her to tremble. Master, Xiaohe isn't such a person. Before she came here, she had already made preparations to escape with me. Qin Feng explained. What are you so nervous about? Qin Wentian glared at Qin Feng. At the instant he asked Xiaohe, he already knew the answer. Right now, who would be able to escape his eyes? The reason why he asked was because he didn't want Qin Feng to be used by others. Qin Feng, little last Qin Qing, I will bring you to choose a palace to stay in. In the future, you can stay in the God King Palace. As for Xiaohe's family, compensate them appropriately. Don't sever ties with them. After all, they are Xiaohe's family. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. He believed that Qin Feng would naturally understand the meaning behind his words. Since the other party had ulterior motives, there was no need to think about how they wanted to fish for benefits here. However, he wouldn't really make Xiaohe sever ties with her family. That would be too overboard. This disciple understands. Qin Feng smiled and nodded. He knew what he should do. Shunga, help me bring them to choose a palace. I have to welcome a person. Qin Wentian spoke. Namfeng Shunga's beautiful eyes flashed with a bright light. There was actually a person that needed Qin Wentian to welcome personally. The vast majority of his family and friends were all in the God King Palace. As for the others, which one of them would have such face? Right. She nodded lightly and brought Qin Feng and Qin Qing away. Not long after, Qin Feng and Qin Qing obtained a majestic palace for themselves in the God King Palace. This palace was comparable to the royal palace of a kingdom. The maids there were all at the immortal realm, causing them to feel like they were dreaming. The God King Palace was a place that countless people yearned for. Right now, even heavenly deities and world overlords from the outside world couldn't enter. Qin Feng, in the future, are we going to stay here? Xiaohe also felt like she was in a dream. It was surreal. She believed that Qin Wentian was Qin Feng's master. Qin Feng told her about this story, but after all, it was just an interlude many years ago. She couldn't be sure if Qin Wentian would recognize Qin Feng or not. After all, Qin Wentian had met countless people on his path of cultivation. Qin Feng was just an experience. It was normal for him to casually dismiss Qin Wentian. I knew big brother Qin wouldn't forget about us. Qin Qing's eyes were still filled with tears, and she hadn't wiped them clean. Before this, who was the one who was so nervous and didn't even dare to call him master? Qin Feng teased, his words causing Qin Qing to glare fiercely at him. However, everything was in the past now. Namfeng Shunga smiled as she listened to the conversation between the three of them. From now on, their fates would undergo a heaven-shaking change. From now on, they could roam freely in the supreme ancient immortal realms. When she thought of the past, Namfeng Shunga also felt that this was a dream. Qin Wentian's figure appeared outside the God King Palace, personally welcoming them. At this moment, not far away from the God King Palace, two figures slowly walked over. Qin Wentian had met these two before. The person in the lead was clad in robes as white as snow. His aura was as ordinary as ever, incomparably ethereal, like he didn't belong to the mortal world. As for the figure standing behind him, Qin Wentian had also met him before. Once in the past, Qin Wentian met him and obtained good fortune from him. I didn't expect two seniors to come. Qin Wentian smiled. You have already transcended. There's no need to refer to me as senior. We are of the same generation, and I am older than you. You can just refer to me as elder brother. The white-robed young man spoke in a carefree manner. Okay, elder brother. Qin Wentian wasn't polite and directly replied. Since you already referred to my teacher as elder brother, there's no need for you to refer to me as senior. Speaking of which, your current cultivation base is higher than mine. The figure behind the white-robed young man spoke. So it turned out that he was none other than one of the 8 god kings of the mystic region, the Time King. Teacher. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. After that he smiled. Indeed, in this world, the only person who could become the teacher of the God King of Time was most probably this white-robed young man. Naturally, he could also be considered one now. I once told you that I've always been searching for a method to transcend, wanting to be able to soar through the past and the future. However, I ultimately couldn't do it. After that, I met my teacher. He was able to do it, hence I thickened my skin and followed him. Teacher was helpless and finally agreed to bring me along. The God King of Time calmly spoke. He didn't care about face at all. At his level, there was only one thing he pursued. It's just that his efforts are destined to be futile. If he wants to transcend, he has to understand the ways of the masses. That deity-level battle was an opportunity. The God King of the Western Paradise also comprehended a little, but sadly he took the wrong path. In the end he ended up helping you. The white-robed young man laughed. Why? I'm here to congratulate you. Are you not going to invite me in to take a seat? Elder brother, please. Only now did Qin Wentian react. He couldn't help but laugh involuntarily. The 3 of them walked over together, and directly came to a quiet location in the God King Palace. The white-robed young man was someone who didn't belong to worldly affairs. Most probably he liked peace and quiet. If not, his name would have long resounded through the world. Elder brother, I've always had a question. Since one wants to transcend, one has to understand the ways of the masses. In that case, if a person who transcends is born, his name would definitely be known by everyone in the world. His name would be passed down to the future generations, never to be forgotten. Why is it that only a few people know of elder brother's existence? Qin Wentian curiously asked. Even people from the Tiandao Sacred Academy didn't know of this. From a certain perspective, I'm not a transcendent. The white-robed young man shook his head. Because to you, I'm just an outsider. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. Elder brother came from the 9 heavenly layers? MHM. The white-robed young man nodded his head. Since you've already transcended at your level, you should know that the universe is boundless and boundless. The world enveloped by the 9 heavenly layers is merely a perfect world. In the boundless universe beyond the 9 heavenly layers, there are countless other worlds. Once, I roamed the universe and visited many worlds. After that, I came here and felt that the laws of this world are extremely interesting and extremely perfect. I felt that there would be someone on par with me in this world. Hence, I decided to stay here. Now I've been waiting for someone, and that person is you. Qin Wentian was a little shocked in his heart. The white-robed young man had probably existed for countless years. Even in the entire universe, it was hard to find an existence on par with him until he transcended. From this, one could imagine how strong he was. Of course, this also meant that the current him had also reached the same level as him. In the future, are you interested in traveling with me? The white-robed young man suddenly asked with a smile. I'm afraid you'll have to wait for a few years. Qin Wentian smiled. He knew that after transcending, it would be hard for him to pursue anything in this world. But after all, this place had everything he was familiar with. For a very long period of time, he wouldn't leave this place. I understand. After all, I've experienced the same things as you. As for waiting, at our level, a bit of time actually doesn't count for much. The white-robed young man smiled. Qin Wentian would eventually feel loneliness, the loneliness of being invincible. Alright, it's a promise then. Qin Wentian wanted to see the outside world as well. But before that, he had to roam the entire supreme ancient immortal realms. The 2 of them chatted and laughed, talking about some interesting things. For example, what the world beyond the 9 heavenly layers was like. Occasionally, laughter would ring out. After a long time, the white-robed young man brought the God King of Time away. The two of them made a promise that one day in the future, they would roam the universe beyond the 9 heavenly layers together. Chapter 2051. The grand banquet that lasted for several months finally ended. Countless people in the 33 immortal realms felt a sense of disappointment. The God King Palace that stood at the peak of the supreme ancient immortal realms vanished from their sight. In the future, it would be hard for them to see the God King Palace again. After the grand banquet ended, everyone in the world had a feeling that the curtains to the supreme ancient immortal realms had truly opened. A brand new era was about to begin, waiting for the people of the world to create it. One morning in the God King Palace, in Qin Wentian's sleeping quarters, Qin Wentian, Mo Qing, Princess Kitamura, Yi Qianyu and the others were together as they headed out of the sleeping quarters. Just as they exited, a snow-white silhouette flashed over and directly leapt into Qingqing's embrace. Little rascal's beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wentian. "You want to shake me off? No way." "Shoo." Qin Wentian shushed. But at this moment, a beautiful figure appeared behind him. It was Purgatory. She silently followed behind, not saying anything. "Wentian Gidge, it's useless. The God King Palace has already been set up by us. Although you can easily destroy it, we would still know about it." A mischievous voice drifted over. Unknowingly, the silhouette of Bai Qing appeared in front of them. At this moment, she was clad in a fiery red long robe, exuding a beautiful and elegant aura. She didn't seem like a devil king that could control 10,000 devils at all. "Little Bai Qing, you even schemed against your Wentian Gidge." Qin Wentian spoke in a depressed manner. "Who asked you to be so unkind? It was my idea. Why, now that you are the God King, you don't want to acknowledge me as your senior sister? You don't even want to bring me along when you go out to play." Luo Huan's alluring figure appeared. She crossed her arms in front of her chest, exuding an incomparably alluring aura. Her beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wentian. Beside her, Qin Yao smiled at Qin Wentian. This younger brother of hers was truly dishonest. He actually wanted to sneak away. "Senior sister, please spare me." Qin Wentian was incomparably depressed. "There's no use begging me." Luo Huan giggled. At this moment, several more figures appeared in the surroundings. Namhuang Yunxi, Nanfeng Xinga, and Jialan Qiuyue. For a period of time, it was like 100 flowers blooming at the same time, incomparably beautiful. The vast majority of those who appeared before them were all goddesses. Most probably, only Qin Wentian would be able to enjoy such treatment. "Elder brother, you failed to escape again." Luo Shenlei also came over. She giggled. "Senior brother, just give in." Jun Mingchen walked over to join in the fun. "Mingchen, I will leave the matters of the God King Palace to you in the future. You have to handle it well for me." Qin Wentian had a straight face as he stared at Jun Mingchen. A moment later, Jun Mingchen's expression sank. "Senior brother Qin, I was wrong. Please spare me. You are the God King of the world, the Lord of this world. This matter naturally has to be handled by you. Only you can take on such a heavy responsibility. In addition, my father-in-law, the Monarch, and senior brother Bai Wuya will help you. My maternal grandfather and uncle will be there as well, but your cultivation base is the highest. You should be the one holding the fort." Qin Wentian had a serious look on his face, abusing his position to take revenge. "Aren't there still uncle and auntie?" Jun Mingchen spoke. "Kursin will be there as well. We are also preparing to roam the world." Qin Yuanfeng and Luo Shenqianxue appeared and smiled, completely shattering Jun Mingchen's hope. "Father, mother, are you really not going to come with us?" Qin Wentian asked. "Don't we know how to play by ourselves?" Luo Shenqianxue smiled. She exchanged a mutual glance with Qin Yuanfeng. Everything was understood without words. Qin Wentian felt warmth in his heart. His father and mother loved each other so much, he was naturally happy. "Kursin, who are you going with?" Luo Shenqianxue smiled as she asked. "I'm going with elder brother. I won't disturb father and mother." Qin Kursin softly spoke, not wanting to disturb her father and mother. Qin Wentian was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. If he doesn't disturb father and mother, does that mean he can disturb me? As an elder brother, his life was truly bitter. In any case, I want to follow elder brother to roam the world. Luo Shenlei added. Please spare me. Qin Wentian covered his face with his hands. He was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. Don't worry, my family will roam the world alone and won't disturb you. Look, it's still brother who treats you the best. It was unknown when Fatty Fan Lo had walked out. He spoke to Qin Wentian. Beside him, Ouyang Guangxing and Jiang Ting were both smiling at Qin Wentian. A family? Fan Yi asked. That's right, little Yi. We are a family of 3, enjoying the bliss of a family. Fan Lo complacently stared at Qin Wentian. Who wants to go with you guys? I want to follow my godfather. Fan Ye's silhouette flashed and ran to Qin Wentian's side, pulling on Qin Wentian's arm. Fan Lo started. He didn't know how to react. After that, he inclined his head towards the sky and sighed. What a sin. Is this really my daughter? Don't worry. Every 10 or 100 years, when I'm in a good mood, I will go and visit you. Fan Yi giggled. Fan Li's tears flowed down his face. Wentian. Yi Qingyan also came over and called out. Foster father. Qin Wentian glanced at Yi Linyuan. Bring your sister Ling Shuang along as well. That lass is also bored in the God King Palace. Yi Qingyan smiled. Qin Wentian had no way to reject. Qingyan, us 2 old fellows can play chess. Qin Chuan spoke to Yi Qingyan. Arg, senior brother Qin. You treated me like this. I will definitely take revenge. Jun Mingchen spoke with reluctance. Up to you. Qin Wentian smiled as he stared at Jun Mingchen. Jun Mingchen's expression instantly sank. He couldn't win against his senior brother. Qin Wentian glanced apologetically at Qingqing and Qing. He transmitted his voice. We will shake them off on the way. Qingqing and the others smiled, feeling warmth in their hearts. They could finally be free. Such a scene was truly beautiful. Let's move out. Qin Wentian stared into the distance. Move out. Little rascal inclined his head and spoke. The group of them had smiles on their faces as they flew towards the God King Palace. Not long after they left, a piece of shocking news circulated out from the God King Palace. The God King, Qin Wentian, would bring many beauties to roam the 33 immortal realms and particle worlds. It was speculated that he would walk the path he had walked before, and visit those places he had never been to before. Hence, countless people in the 33 immortal realms were stirred, hoping that they would be able to meet the God King one day. Maybe, they would be able to receive his guidance and soar up into the sky. After Qin Wentian learned of this news, he almost couldn't help but to rush back to the God King Palace to give Jun Mingchen a good beating. His junior brother has learned bad things. However, Qin Wentian was actually very happy in his heart. He wouldn't change his mind, and would allow Jun Mingchen to be the overseer of the God King Palace. This world would belong to him sooner or later. In the particle world where the Chu country used to be, snow began to fall. The white snow blanketed the land, covering it with a layer of silver. In the Sky Harmony city of the Chu country, there was a gigantic statue. Snow drifted down and landed on the statue, covering it completely. But occasionally there would be people who passed by the statue. They couldn't help but to pay their respects to the statue. At this moment, not far away from the statue, a few figures appeared. One of them looked exactly the same as the statue. It was none other than Qin Wentian. I can't even see the shadow of the past Qin clan. Qin Wentian smiled. Qin Yao stared at the towering statue as she nodded her head lightly. Let's go. Qin Wentian lifted his foot and departed. Little lass Qin, do you want to go to your clan to take a look? Sure. Bai Qing nodded. Wentian Gich, can you carry me on your back like when we were young? Qin Wentian squatted down and smiled. Come on up. Bai Qing smiled as she leaned on Qin Wentian's back. The two of them walked through the snow, with Qin Yao following behind them with a smile on her face. Their footsteps left footprints in the snow, and on Qin Wentian's back, a teardrop dripped onto the snow, causing it to melt. Another scene appeared in the Chu country. In a vast expanse of white snow, there was a towering tree that towered into the heavens. Its branches and leaves were all covered by the snow. Under the ancient tree, a handsome young man in white sat on the snow. He stretched out his legs and lazily leaned against the thick roots of the tree. His bright eyes were smiling as he stared at the beautiful scenery before him. A peerless fairy stretched out her hand, allowing the snowflakes to land on her palm. She casually twirled her body, not intentionally dancing, but it was as though she was performing the most beautiful dance in the world. Beside him, there was a white-haired beauty quietly standing there, as though she was one with the white snow. After a long time, the fairy-like beauty seemed to have grown tired. She walked over to the ancient tree and sat down, leaning against the white-robed man. Her body tilted slightly as she closed her eyes in enjoyment. The white-haired beauty also sat down, leaning against the other side of the white-robed man. Time seemed to have stopped flowing, and only the snowflakes danced in the air. Gradually, the three people under the ancient tree were all covered by the white snow. They were like snowmen, quietly leaning against the tree. Beautiful, very beautiful. Chapter 2052. Time flowed by unknowingly. In the particle world of Chu, there was news that someone saw the ancient god king Qin Wentian. He was quietly sitting under an ancient tree amidst the white snow, with goddesses from the 9 heavens dancing before him. There were also people who said that they personally saw Qin Wentian leading the fairies on a boat on the lake, leisurely enjoying the sunlight like an ordinary mortal. It was just that the people around him were simply too stunning. The news of Qin Wentian returning to the particle world spread like wildfire. In fact, this news even spread to the azure mystic immortal realms. There were even heavenly deities and world overlords who came to the particle world to educate the masses. They used their powerful divine sense and immortal sense to scan the entire world, but they didn't discover any traces of the ancient God King. Maybe, the ancient God King had some heaven-defying methods, making it so that divine sense couldn't detect his existence. In the Moon continent, the Hua clan in the past, things weren't very peaceful recently. The Hua clan was a branch left behind by Hua Taishu's clan in this particle world. Over 20 years ago, an infant was born in the Hua clan. In order to commemorate the supreme genius who once appeared in their Hua clan's records, they named this infant Hua Taishu. The news from the azure mystic immortal realms said that Hua Taishu was conferred the title of Samsara overlord by the God King Hall. He sacrificed himself to save the world. The Hua clan hoped that their descendants would remember this name. Hence, they had high hopes for the newly born Hua Taishu. And Hua Taishu didn't disappoint them. He displayed unprecedented talent, and was in high spirits. But what caused the Hua clan to collapse was that just as they were preparing for Hua Taishu to marry a beautiful wife, and even when the marriage was already settled, Hua Taishu actually became infatuated with the Buddhist Tao. If it was just infatuation, that would be fine. After all, the power of the Buddhist Dharma was already extremely powerful. But Hua Taishu actually shaved his head and became a monk, saying that he wanted to wholeheartedly focus on the Buddhist Tao. The entire Hua clan was in an uproar. Hua Taishu's father was so angry that he fell ill, wanting to disown his son. Today, a mysterious guest came to the Hua clan. When they saw the person who came, the people of the Hua clan all trembled so much that they almost knelt down. "I'm just taking a stroll," Qin Wentian said with a smile. The people of the Hua clan knew that their ancestor, Hua Taishu, and the deity king were old friends. Maybe it was because of this that the deity king came here personally. A very handsome monk walked over. When he saw Qin Wentian, he bowed and said, "The divine king has come to visit. It just so happens that I have some doubts in my heart, and would like to ask the divine king to dispel them." "I know what your doubts are, but I can't solve them." Qin Wentian looked at the handsome monk in front of him, and revealed a gentle smile. He looked different, and so did his personality. "You are a god king, can't you undo it?" Hua Taishu asked. "Although I'm a god king, my knowledge of Buddhism is too shallow. There's nothing I can guide you with. In the future, in the supreme ancient immortal realms, you will control the Buddhist arts and deliver the masses from suffering. You will establish a Buddhist sect and lead people to do good deeds, becoming the orthodox path of Buddhism. Hence, you can go and comprehend on your own. Qin Wentian left behind a sentence before he turned and departed, vanishing in an instant. After hearing his words, the hearts of the people of the Hua clan trembled violently. After that, they all knelt on the ground and kowtowed in the direction where Qin Wentian left. Great waves of shock rose in their hearts, and they couldn't calm down even after a long time. In the future, in the supreme ancient immortal realms, Hua Taishi would control the Buddhist arts and establish a Buddhist sect, becoming the orthodox path of Buddhism. If these words were spoken by anyone else, the people of the Hua clan would most probably think that he was a madman. But the person who spoke these words was none other than Qin Wentian, the God King of the supreme ancient immortal realms, Qin Wentian. If he said so, that meant that in the future, Hua Taishi would become the Buddha Lord of all living things. The news of Qin Wentian's arrival naturally circulated out very quickly. More and more people believed that the ancient godly monarch was currently in this particle world. Everyone in the particle world was extremely agitated, hoping that they would be able to meet the ancient godly monarch one day. If they could be like Hua Taishu and be conferred the title of Buddha Lord, how wonderful would that be? Sadly, this was destined to be a beautiful fantasy. Other than the commotion caused by Qin Wentian's arrival, there were also some things happening in various corners of the particle world. For example, once in the immortal martial realm, in a lake, a celestial maiden descended from the heavens and sat by the lakeside, playing the zither. The melody was beautiful and melodious, filled with boundless yearning and sorrow. When the song ended, it would cause the hearts of those who heard it to break. Everyone in the world said that the person who could cause the fairy to cry her heart out was none other than herself. In addition, this fairy played the zither all day long, not eating or drinking, causing countless people to feel pity for her. Other than this, there was another matter that attracted attention. The battle sword sect that Qin Wentian was once a sect. The members of that sect were already existences that could freely enter and exit the God King Palace. However, there was actually a supreme fairy who descended to the mortal world and re-established the battle sword sect in this particle world. It was as though she wanted to answer the summons of the ancient godly monarch and guide the people of this particle world. This supreme fairy had unparalleled beauty and was as cold and arrogant as ice. It was said that she was once the senior apprentice sister of the ancient godly monarch and roamed the immortal world together with him. Many years later, the zither string of the fairy who played the zither by the lake finally broke. However, she still couldn't find the person she yearned for. On the second day, she actually vanished, never to be seen again. Many people who were deeply attracted by her went to search for her, but they couldn't find any traces of her. Some said that after her zither string broke, the person she yearned for returned and brought her away. There were also some who said that the broken zither string had already died. Most probably, she died because of love. As for which conjecture was correct, most probably no one in the world knew. There were only some who said that they saw the silhouette of the ancient godly monarch not far away from the lake. Naturally, this was never verified. Finally, no one in the particle world saw the ancient godly monarch's footsteps again. At the same time, in the azure mystic immortal realms, rumors of the ancient godly monarch's arrival began to circulate. The immortal Qianbian Gate, Evergreen Kingdom, Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, Southern Phoenix Immortal City, all these familiar places, Qin Wentian's footsteps appeared again. Many people said that they saw the ancient godly monarch in these places, as well as many breathtaking fairies and goddesses. There were also people in the myriad Devil Islands who said that they saw the ancient godly monarch. This was especially so for an island at the border of the myriad Devil Islands. There were many who said that the ancient godly monarch seemed to be reminiscing about something. Could it be that there were old acquaintances of the ancient godly monarch here? From the particle world to the azure mystic immortal realms, and then to the 33 immortal realms, the legends regarding the ancient godly monarch continued to circulate day after day, year after year. It was like this was an eternal topic in the 33 immortal realms. Thousands of years passed, but the legends of the ancient godly monarch were still mentioned everywhere. After thousands of years, the supreme ancient immortal realms became even more flourishing compared to the past. Many more heavenly deities were born. Naturally, the majority of them were from the God King Palace. After all, the powers under the God King Palace could head to the Heaven Vault to comprehend the Daos. Other than this, there were also some people with outstanding talent who managed to enter the deity realm. When they were at the World Overlord realm, they would head to the particle world to spread their Tao before entering the Heaven Vault to cultivate and comprehend the heavenly Daos. Countless people were grateful to the ancient godly monarch. For everyone in the world, as long as they had enough talent to break through to the World Overlord realm, they would have a chance to enter the Heaven Vault to comprehend the Daos. In truth, the ancient godly monarch had already opened the Heaven Vault to everyone. Under the entrance of the Heaven Vault, in the Boundless Sea region, the majestic Qin Heavenly Divine Sect could be seen. However, this place was already a historical remnant. It only had a symbolic meaning. The God King Palace was the true core of the current supreme ancient immortal realms. Other than the Qin Heavenly Divine Sect, there was still a very large stretch of sea in the Boundless Sea region. There would always be people on boats on the sea, staring up at the Heaven Vault. It was like by being on the sea, they would be closer to the starry space. Today, at the border of the Boundless Sea region, a group of people appeared. The moment they appeared, they instantly attracted the gazes of everyone. The expressions of the people in the surroundings froze as a fervent look appeared on their faces. Ancient godly monarch. Someone called out in a trembling voice. Shu. Qin Wentian made a shushing gesture. He smiled at everyone, and after that, he brought the beauties behind him and continued on his way. For a period of time, everyone was dazzled by his beauty. Before everyone could react, they only saw the ancient godly monarch boarding the boat and flying towards the sea region. The people on the shore stared dumbfoundedly at this scene. Someone spoke. I've always fantasized about what I would say when I see the ancient godly monarch. But when I truly saw him, I actually couldn't say a single word. Me too. Someone at the side sighed as he shook his head and smiled bitterly. Goddesses, how beautiful. Most probably, the most beautiful women in the supreme ancient immortal realms are all by the ancient godly monarch's side. Have you forgotten? There's still one more in the Boundless Sea region. Someone laughed in praise. The eyes of everyone flashed as they thought of that supreme beauty. She was once the #1 beauty in the Heaven region. She has been sailing in the Boundless Sea region for many years, and her home was none other than Boundless City. At this moment, everyone exchanged mutual glances as smiles appeared on their faces. It was like they understood something. In the Boundless Sea region, at the bow of the boat, Qin Wentian quietly laid on the deck with his hands as a pillow, enjoying the sunlight. Beside him, Mo Qingqing inclined her head and stared at the sky. She spoke. In the past, I have always been in the Heaven Vault, but I've never had the chance to look at this sea region properly. So it turns out that it's actually so beautiful. My Qingqing is the most beautiful. Qin Wentian laughed. What about elder sister Qing, and the others? Mo Qingqing smiled. They are as beautiful as Qingqing. Qin Wentian replied. Loquacious. Mo Qingqing rolled her eyes, but she still enjoyed the feeling. No matter how many times she repeated it, it was still as warm as ever. Staring at Mo Qingqing's beautiful countenance, Qin Wentian suddenly spoke. Qingqing, let's have a child together. Mo Qingqing was badly frightened by the sudden words. Her face instantly turned red. When she saw Qin Wentian staring at her, she turned her head away. You should look for elder sister Qing. Qing. Qin Wentian stood up, turning his head and smiling at Qing. You better look for elder sister Yuhuang. Qing spoke in a melodious voice. Qin Wentian then glanced at Princess Kitamura. Me? Princess Kitamura instantly blushed. She stealthily glanced at everyone, and actually nodded her head lightly. Elder sister Yuhuang Yu. Behind her, many beauties involuntarily smiled, and walked over when they saw Yuhuang nodding her head. A moment later, Yuhuang's face turned red from embarrassment. Qingqing and Qing were setting a trap for her. On the boat, the sound of laughter rang out, echoing through the Boundless Sea region. Similarly, in the Boundless Sea region, there was a lone boat quietly floating on the sea. On the boat, there was a peerlessly beautiful woman. Her beautiful eyes gazed into the distance as she allowed the boat to drift freely. It was unknown where it would end. End of the book. You're tuning in to the Limei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.